I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
That smash and grab raid in Bond Street by Bernie Casson netted me one perfect 20-carat diamond. Unfortunately, Bernie, who got away, saw me pocket it and later paid me a visit at my flat. Using her sixth form dramatic experience, Barbara entered Avic Gun and Bernie made an exit, quite hurriedly. We hid the diamond in the waste plug in Barbara's bathroom, only to have it pinched by a chamber winch. However, we got over that when over the speaker in Barbara's flat, I heard my warning buzzer go in mine. This is a little contrivance I invented, whereby anyone coming out of the lift on my floor activates a stud under the passage carpet. This buzzes in my flat, and so I expect visitors, and am suitably prepared. Exit me from Barbara's flat, down her lift, round the street, up in the lift to my floor, and so to my own front door, which I open and...
Hold it, you, and walk in. Walk, I said, and keep your hands right up.
Oh, so it's you, Bernie Casson. May I ask why you called again?
Mike, shut the door behind him.
Mike? Who's Mike?
Just Mike. Pal of mine, see?
Oh. Well, Mike, whoever you are, I'm sorry for you. Bernie's always in trouble. He could draw you plans of the best jails in England. He's so familiar with them.
Here, shut up and listen. Just be sensible and listen.
Oh, with that gun in my waistcoat, I can do little else. May I sit down and drop my hands?
Frisk him, Mike.
No gun, no bomb, no poison, eh, Mike? I see. Thank you, Mike, for that one. I shall hope to pay it back before long.
Mike, don't talk.
From that clout he gave me, I'm quite prepared to realize he believes in the old adage that actions speak louder than backchat. Now, what can I do for you two gentlemen? I assure you we shall not be interrupted this time.
Okay, then. Where's the rock?
All right. I'll play quiz, kids. The rock, better known as Gibraltar. Thank you, Mike.
The rock, punk. The diamond you pinched.
I pinched? Bernie, didn't I see you sprawling in the gutter with diamonds all over you?
You tripped me up and I was robbed. But I saw you grab one and put it in the cuff of your pants.
And you got away. But, Bernie, I did not put a diamond in the turn-up of my pants.
Wherever you put it, you got it. And Mike and me are here to collect. Come clean and we'll op it and no harm done. Come on. Where is it? Or we tear you apart and then open up this flat like a sardine tin.
All right, proceed. If anyone were listening in, Bernie, that is, if this were a radio serial, they'd telephone the police and you'd be nabbed in a matter of a few minutes. Wouldn't Inspector Ford like to know that you're here?
This ain't a drip drama, see? So talk. Mike, just one.
Thank you, Mike. Let's see, that's 3 I owe you. Sorry, 4.
All right, Mike. Stop now.
Oh, for this relief, much thanks. Look, Bernie, let's be sensible. You're entirely at sea. I haven't got your diamond, or my diamond, or anyone else's diamond. Search the flat if you must. Go on, don't hesitate.
That's just what we're going to do.
Right. Here's my keys, so there's no need for any rough stuff. Oh, before you start, have a drink. There's whiskey in that decanter.
Doped, I suppose.
Rubbish. But there's poison in the soda water. However, I'd like one. May I?
Considering, yes. We'll all have one.
Will you get it, or shall I?
You get it, see? And no clever tricks. Mike, keep an eye on him. Cover the door.
Look, idiots, I'll pour my own first. So. Good health, gentlemen. Now, just watch me drop down dead. Wait for it. Good heavens, I feel quite well. So what will you drink?
I reckon we'll have the same. But listen, mister, we're still going to get that stone. As I said, we'll wreck the joint before we go away without it.
No, that's not necessary. You have my keys. Now, whiskey for you, Bernie. And one for you, Mike. At your service, gentlemen. What, no word of thanks? Toujours la politesse, you know.
Shut up. We ain't got all night.
True, oh true. Soda, gentlemen, remember what I said? My doctor told me it was poison. Bernie, you first.
Hey, what
You,
the...
Mike! Right, Barbara!
The lights! What the blazes?
Thanks, Barbara. That was quick work with the old bookcase. Listen.
Hey, put that flaming light on, Mike.
Master switch near the drink cabinet.
What's the matter with you, dope? Grab him before he gets out of that door. He ain't near the door. Eyes the switch. Cripes. He ain't here. He can't be far off. Come on. That bathroom, the lounge, the bedroom. Get up, move on, dope.
Did you get my tips?
Of course. I had the speaker on. I rang up Inspector Ford at once and he's on his way.
You didn't say who you were.
Oh, of course not. Just that I saw some suspicious customers enter your flat.
Listen to me. I've got to get around to my front door in case those two Johnnies get the wind up and make a getaway before the police arrive.
Is it safe for you?
Of course. Old Ben may think things, but Bernie's the smash-and-grab bloke. It was I who, foiled him. Yes, foiled's the word, in Bond Street. All right, see you anon. Come round in 10 minutes' time. See you then.
Now then, what's all this?
Believe it or not, Ben, I've got two real beauties for you in my flat.
And you're standing at the door keeping guard?
Yes.
Why?
Why? Well, I was saving them up for you.
And who are they?
Now, you really are going to enjoy this. Our old friend, Bernie Casson.
Yeah?
Well, really, Ben, you might be a bit more enthusiastic. Bernie Casson is the Bond Street smash-and-grab Johnny. I tripped him up, saved the jeweller thousands of pounds, the police have lost him, I find him for you, and you sound as if you were ordering eggs for breakfast.
All right, but you said two.
That's right. Bernie Casson has a friend for him, one Mike. Nasty piece of work. This face of mine is entirely due to him. I mean, the extra lumps, of course.
Beat you up, eh?
Oh, yes, both up and down.
What were you doing in there with two thugs?
Looking for a diamond.
What?
I mean, they were looking for a diamond.
In your flat?
In my flat.
Do you keep diamonds in your flat?
Only when the custodian of the tower goes away for a holiday and asks me to mind the crown jewels for him.
Look, Fletcher, your great sense of humor is not very welcome at the moment. Shall I tell you why?
By all means.
I am not altogether satisfied about you. There are certain peculiarities.
Ben.
Call them what you will. I have my own opinions, which for the present I can't express. Now, apparently, you got home to find those two hobos in occupation.
Yes?
They used force on you to make you tell them something.
Yes, Inspector.
You didn't tell them anything.
Couldn't is the word, Inspector.
What did they want to know?
Where I'd hidden the diamond.
And, of course, you didn't tell them.
Couldn't is the word, Inspector, remember?
Why couldn't you tell them?
Ha-ha, Ben, that's a leading question. But I'll answer it.
You'd better.
Well, I hadn't hidden a diamond. I hadn't even got a diamond into my possession. Ergo, I had no diamond on me, none in my flat.
You got a wall safe?
I have.
What's in it?
Only an old glove of mine and the family album.
I warn you I shall examine that safe.
By all means, you can borrow the key off Bernie Casson.
You gave him your keys? Why?
So that he could look for the diamond. Look, Ben, if you'd been punched around by that blighter Mike, you'd have given him the freedom of the city.
All right, let's go in. Got your keys?
Inspector Ben, I've told you, Bernie Casson has my keys in there.
All right, then we'll force our way in.
No need. I brought the master key up from the lobby.
You think of everything, don't you?
Yes. Why don't you?
All right. Now stand by, Capel. You too, Gordon.
Yeah.
These men are tough. We mustn't let them make a getaway. All right, here goes. All right, fellas, this is the cop.
Inspector Ford and...
Yes, and me. I mean I. So you've been messing around to some tune in my flat.
All right, Ben. Now then, what are you doing here? This is burglary, you know.
Oh, straight, Inspector. Everything ain't what it seems.
Oh? Exactly what does that mean?
Well, admitted Mike and me was in here. Mr. Fletcher don't seem to mind, see? Well, we all had drinks together.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and he poured 'em out himself.
Is this a joke, Fletcher?
By Jove, yes. And I squirted soda in their eyes and hopped out as quick as I could.
That's it, Inspector. He just disappeared. There was a sort of grinding noise. But he didn't hop out the door.
No?
No. Mike was standing covering the door, wasn't you, Mike? And he didn't hop out the window. Couldn't have.
3 floors up? Couldn't have. Have.
Look, enough of this, Casson. You have Mr. Fletcher's keys?
He gave them to us.
I see. Well, now, you give them to me.
All right. Here you are.
Thanks. All right. Gordon, Capel, take these two birds down to Vine Street. Tell the sergeant on duty to charge them with being on premises with intent. Tell him to stick him in the cage. Keep them there till I get along.
Here's up. Come on, you two, come on.
All right, hurry up now.
I'll go along with you and charge him, shall I, as the injured party?
Injured? Yes, that face would certainly get the sympathy of any magistrate. All right, let's be serious a moment. These keys of yours, look, I haven't a search warrant, but could I look in that wall safe of yours?
By all means. I'm certain you'll find nothing of any value.
How does it work?
Just pull that blind cord first.
Like this?
That's it. Now, strangely, that action, you see, lets a fixed mirror open outwards.
Yes, I see.
And there, abracadabra, is the wall safe. The key turns twice. Then you press that button, and voila, the old glove, etc.
Yes, very ingenious indeed. Your own invention?
Yes, and manufactured by my late sire's firm, the Fletcher Safe and Lock Company. You had a good look inside?
Yes. Nothing of any value. Much?
What have you found?
This. A grey goose feather.
Why, yes. Surely, Ben, your memory isn't so poor that you've forgotten you gave me that yourself last night. Oh, my heavens. Surely I haven't been nursing a viper in my bosom.
What the devil do you mean?
Oh, no, it couldn't be. You surely aren't the Grey Goose yourself.
And if that's not turning the tables on Inspector Ben Ford with a vengeance, it's certainly one up to the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
I won a diamond from Bernie Casson, smash and grab artist, when he made his play in Bond Street. And... But wait, let's be brief. I'll itemize from here. 1, we hid the diamond, Barbara and I, in Barbara's flat, in the bath waste. 2, it was then pinched by the housemaid. 3, I got it back by a trick. 4, then, while talking to Barbara, Bernie and a friend burgled my flat. 5, I went round to investigate and met a roughhouse. 6, but I managed to break away in the dark, Barbara, from her side, manipulating our very handy revolving bookcase. 7, while I was being beaten up, Barbara phoned the police. 8, Inspector Ben Ford then turns up. We enter my flat, curtains for Bernie and his bully. 9, Ben is suspicious, borrows my key, opens my wall safe, and pulls out a grey goose feather.
What did you say?
I just reminded you, Ben, that you, in a moment of semi-sadism, presented me with that feather last night. I had then such a high opinion of you that I thought little of it.
Oh, you thought little of it?
Indeed, yes, but now, on reflection, what can I think except...
Except what? Go on.
Except that my old school friend, Ben Ford, a highly respected and responsible police officer, is none other than that bandit, execrable thief, menace to society, elusive thug, threat to honesty, the Grey Goose.
Oh, shut up talking nonsense.
Nonsense?
Yes, stupid, arrant, imbecile nonsense.
Ah, you don't know how relieved I am, Ben. Remember the old school drama society? If I were Brutus and you Cassius, you should say, that you have wronged me doth appear in this.
Shut up. You of all men should know that I'm not the Grey Goose, or the man who hides his felonies under that alias.
I of all men? Why me? Don't answer that question.
All right. We'll leave it for now. But there's a thing or two exercising my mind which I'd like cleared up.
Such as?
The diamond first. Bernie Casson seems to think you have it. Why does he think that? 1, you were nearest to him.
Else I couldn't have tripped him up.
Then, known by every constable in London, he risks being snapped up and invades your place confident that you have it.
Mere guesswork, surely.
He insists he wasn't guessing. He asserts that he saw you pick it up.
Confound it. I helped pick up a fortune in bits and pieces of very fine jewellery, which were handed to the owner of the shop.
So the constable said. All right, skip it. Now, point 2. When Bernie and Mike were having their drink, you splashed soda in their faces, the lights went out, and you vanished.
Exactly.
But Mike was guarding the hall door. You couldn't get past that mountain. What to do?
Inspector, I cannot tell a lie. I quickly made a hole in the wall, dived through it, then quicker than a British workman, I relaid the bricks, shoved on some plaster...
All right, don't go on with the act. Save it for the Palladium.
Of course. I may have a trapdoor in the floor.
Maybe you have at that.
A bit awkward. This is a wall-to-wall carpet. Mind you, a trap could be under that rug.
Now, don't fool. I know there isn't.
Sometimes I wish there was.
Why? You have to make extremity exits?
No, it isn't that. But there's a lovely blonde from the Follies in the flat below.
Are you serious?
Oh, at times.
Well, then I suggest you endeavor to make the next few weeks some of those times. I think maybe you realize the necessity. Good night.
What, not even one for the road?
No, thanks.
I promise not to squirt soda in your eye.
No, thank you.
Ben's getting warm. Wonder if he's really gone. Soon, though. He'll tread on my buzzer just as he gets into the lift. What? No buzzer? Oh, Ben. Up to your old tricks again?
Oh,
what? Not gone? Did you decide to come back for that drink? Or were you tying up your shoelace?
Oh, confound you, Fletcher. I'll be coming back fairly soon.
Always glad to see you, Ben. Cheers. Ah, he has gone this time. Not so funny, really. I shall certainly have to do something. Ben is nudging me somewhat too closely.
You in, Rolly?
Yes. Press the button on the gadget and come in.
Right. It's important.
Sit down. Like a cocktail or something?
No. I've just come back from an exciting luncheon.
Exciting? Was he tall and dark and handsome?
I think so. Who do you think it was who took me out?
Go on, I'll play. Stuart Granger, Fairbanks?
No. Inspector Ben Ford.
Good heavens, why?
Well, listen. I'll tell you all about it.
Go on. I'm terribly interested, naturally.
Well, this morning my phone rang and it was the inspector himself. Nice, charming, and would I lunch with him? Unusually, he said, but he wanted to ask me some questions and preferred to do it like that rather than making it official.
Nice. Or is it?
I confess I was a bit worried, but I thought I ought to go.
Of course. Well, did he do you well?
Very well. However, it wasn't long before he opened up. He asked me about you.
You've known Fletcher a long time, Miss Feversham?
Oh, yes. I can't quite remember when we first met.
You see him often?
Well, we meet here and there. Socially, you know. Theatre and then a dinner. Join a dance party. Such things like that, Inspector.
You live in the same block of flats, do you know?
No. I live in a block of flats that backs onto his block. The two entrances are in different streets. In any case, Inspector, what does that question mean?
Oh, forgive me. I'm perhaps being a little gauche. Just one more question.
I hope it'll be in slightly better taste.
I'm almost scared to ask this one, but I must. Is there any means of communication between the two blocks? A passage, a pass door or anything?
None that I know of. After all, the two buildings are separately owned. Of course, one could get from one to the other, I suppose, over the roof. That's fairly obvious, isn't it?
Yes, thank you.
Is that all?
Absolutely all.
Then thank you for the lunch. I'm rather glad I had sole mignon here rather than a grill at Scotland Yard.
I appreciate the point, Miss Everton.
Very neatly put, Barbara.
But you think he's on to the means of communication? I mean, the revolving bookcase?
No, not definitely. But he's a bit puzzled by my Mandrake Act. How I evaded those two crooks, Bernie Casson and Mike. I did laugh him out of it, but he's got a few ideas about traps in the floor, etc.
Suppose he sounds the walls. Gets an expert.
Suppose he even sounds the bookcase itself. That's attached to solid brickwork. The brick wall turns with it. There'll be no hollowness perceptible to an expert architect even.
And the diamond. Where's that?
Voila! In the palm of my hand.
Gracious. It's surely very dangerous to keep it here.
My dear girl, for the moment, this is the safest place. Bernie Casson is in Clink, so he'll not pay me another visit.
But the inspector might.
Might? He will. Nothing's more certain.
If he does bring experts and examines this flat, he might find the speakers, microphones, etc.
Not he. All wires are concealed in the plaster. The switches are almost invisible. As for speakers, etc., the ornaments look most inconspicuous. And another thing, he hasn't the slightest idea that there is any system of communication.
Somebody in the passage.
Hop it quick. Keep your speaker on, but don't call me.
Good afternoon, Fletcher.
Oh, come in, Ben.
This is an official call.
Oh, in that case, come in, Inspector. Ah, you have your boys with you.
Yes, come in, Gordon, Capel. And Casson with you.
What is all this? I thought you jugged friend Bernie. However, if you like his company, that's quite all right by me.
Close the door, Capel.
Yes, sir.
We'll cut the jokes for now, Fletcher. This is business. Acting upon certain information gained from time to time by myself and others, I've obtained a warrant to search your flat.
Well, as you have a warrant, I can scarcely describe this as an unwarranted intrusion, can I? All right, go ahead.
Please allow me to arrange the program. You may wonder why I brought Casson along.
I thought he was a deputation from Dartmoor. Where's Mike?
We're doing without Mike.
Oh.
Okay, the soda water, your escape from this room. Capel there will guard the door as Mike did. Now start.
I do hope Bernie will remember his lines.
I'll remember him all right.
Now pour the drinks and get on with it.
Right. Now, whiskey for you, Bernie. I'll pour. And one for you, Mike. Capel. There's something I said about, what was it now? Toujours la politesse. Go on, Bernie.
I said, shut up. We ain't got all night.
Then they voted for soda. I said right, and they got it. Just like this.
Hey!
Oh, sorry, Inspector. Then I used the master switch so, and the room is darkened so.
Hold that door, Capel!
It's all right, Ben, I haven't gone. Here's the light again.
Well, why haven't you gone?
Don't be silly, Inspector. No good magician repeats his trick twice.
Oh, you...
And shall I tell you something? I didn't relish trying to get past Constable Capel. And I'll tell you something else, Inspector. No policeman in England could make me or any person under suspicion perform or say anything prejudicial.
You're smart, Fletcher. All right, now. I hope you haven't forgotten I have a search warrant. So get on with it, boys. Fletcher, we're going through your rooms with a fine tooth comb now.
You're quite welcome.
You will accompany me to your bedroom, where I shall search your immediate belongings, and where I shall do you the honor of searching you personally.
Oh, you've joined the Diamond Seekers, have you? Come along, then. By the way, Ben, you ought to get a transfer to the French Sûreté.
Why?
Because that reenactment of the crime is peculiarly their technique. Incidentally, whose was the crime? Mine? Rubbish. Surely I'm allowed to squirt soda at two thugs who made a burglarious entry into my flat, eh?
Rolly, I heard everything. I was scared stiff. They took hours.
And it'll take me hours to straighten the flat again.
The diamond. I heard the inspector say he was going to search you personally.
He did, too. Up lighter, down to my skin.
And couldn't find it.
No fear.
Then where was it?
In the inspector's own pocket. When I doused the lights during the reenactment, I slipped it in.
He's bound to find it later. So, you've lost it after all.
Not at all. When he was politely helping me to redress myself, I just picked his pocket. So don't distress yourself about the diamonds. Here it is.
And so Rolland Fletcher wins another trick, and incidentally, a valuable jewel to add to the collection of the Grey Goose.
I have been
here.
The Grey Goose. Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
One of these days, when I publish my memoirs, edged in gold, needless to say, I shall add in an appendix my private collection of old saws I have found to be still incredibly sharp. A place of honour, I think, will go to the hardy annual Dead But He Won't Lie Down. Shall I tell you why? Splendid. Well, it all begins one bright May morning when I've risen early to take my constitutional in the park. The city can hardly be said to be wearing her garment like a sports coat, but it's the first fine day I've seen for some time. So I decide simply to sit on a bench in a sunny corner and, for once, allow my constitution to take me as I am. Imagine my surprise, then, when out of a clear blue sky, just as perfect peace is about to break out all over me, a little old gentleman, winding an extremely nervous watch, fusses up to me.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. Procrastination, sir. Procrastination is the thief of time. I may sit down? Thank you.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, I am late, and I admit I'm late. They told me you were waiting down here. More usual for clients to come to the lodge, you know. So that held me up for a start. However, what can I do for you?
Well, I have a feeling that remains to be seen.
Well, let's not be too downcast about it. Sad business, of course, always a sad business. But life is short, and if there's one thing that's certain, it is that we must all come to the end of it sooner or later. Now, whom did you want the grave for? A brother? A sister? Or perhaps yourself?
What on earth are you talking about?
Well, you don't exactly have a bereaved look about you. Of course, that's not much guide nowadays. More and more people seem glad to be rid of their relatives. But it's not unusual for people to come along here and pick out plots for themselves against the day when they'll need them, you understand.
Do I look so moribund?
What was that?
Do I look as if I were about to die?
Oh, my dear chap, you may live for years, but don't let that put you off. Do you know something? The price of plots is going to go up. I've had it from the trustees. You be wise and buy while the market's steady.
My word, this is something new. The rising cost of dying, eh?
And, of course, you have a better choice of site at the moment. Now, what can I interest you in? Perhaps you'd care to glance through our prospectus. Strange. Well, I could have sworn I had a prospectus on me when I came down.
Yes. Don't overlook the prospectus. I'm sure the London County Council would like to have a look at it.
London, eh? What do you mean?
Well, I'm aware that the blitzed areas are turning into parking lots and swimming pools, but this is the first I've heard of a plan to convert St. James's Park into a cemetery.
St. James's Park? Do you mean to say Oh, my dear fellow.
Come, don't give it a thought.
Dear.
It's a touching ambition on your part. What is a park like this, after all, but man's acre? A last resting place for sandwich crusts, cigarette butts, and old newspapers. You'd like to see it become God's acre.
Dear, I can't say just how I regret. I could have sworn this was somewhere else. Oh, I must apologize.
Not at all. I appreciate your solicitude. Grim reminder, though it may be.
I must go now. So terribly sorry. Oh, dear.
I say, you're ill.
No. Really, I must remain seated for a minute. That's all. I'm dizzy.
Is there something I can get you?
Well, if you wouldn't mind, tablets. Tablets, waistcoat pocket. 2.
Of course. Now, let's see. You're in bad shape, you know. Here we are. These tablets, eh? You won't be selling burial space to other people long if you go taking risks with a heart like that. There we are. 2.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Now, bottle screwed up and back in the pocket for the next emergency. Now, my dear fellow, whoever you are, do you know what you're going to do? You're going to come up to my place, which is just over the way, and a very charming young lady who lives near will make you a strong cup of tea.
No. I don't wish to be any trouble.
Nonsense. What do you think I came into the park for anyway? Simply to cut myself a new Boy Scout staff.
Rolly, I I thought you'd gone out.
All that fresh air was too much for me, and I found a gentleman in distress. Be an angel and make a cup of strong tea with plenty of sugar, will you? Oh, correction, 2 cups.
You brought someone up. Is that wise?
My dear Barbara, this party is as harmless as a pet raccoon in solitary confinement. He's on the sofa in the other room, more or less passed out. Bad heart.
Oh, dear. Good Samaritans all. 3 teaspoons and 1 for the pot coming up.
1 for the Samaritan, you mean? Good girl. Well, now, to see how our invalid is progressing within. Well, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I thought I heard voices.
Must have been the radio. I left it on when I went out.
You went out, eh? Oh, yes, he went out all right. Out like a light. A big funeral.
You've a lot wrong with you, old chap. In addition to that heart, your mind does a bit of a ramble, doesn't it?
Still, life is short. We all come to the end of it sooner or later. Sooner or later. Oh, dear. But do you know something?
What?
He's not dead.
You don't say. Now, why not lie back and rest?
I promise you he's not dead. The world thinks so. You think so. But I know that Arthur Briscoe is alive.
What? What name did you say?
He's alive, healthy, living and breathing. And everyone thinks he's dead.
But
Dead? Oh, dear. I mustn't bring it on again.
Here. Lie back. No struggling. Just lie back and rest. That's it.
I won't tell you, you know. Oh, no. Too much to lose. He pointed that out. But I understood. I understood.
That's the way. Go to sleep for a bit. Arthur Briscoe, did you say? Arthur Briscoe? Let's have a word with Barbara about this. You rest easy, old chap.
Rolly, give the water a chance to boil.
Forget about the tea for a minute. Our guest has decided to sleep it off. Push the jolly old bookcase and come in, will you?
Right. What's the matter?
Cast your mind back, Barbara. About 10 years. Naturally, you'll tell me that you were only a child at the time, but perhaps you had an interest in the affairs of the world beyond your years. Did you ever hear the name Arthur Briscoe?
Oh, dear. Long time ago.
Come. Let's not be bashful about the passing of time. I myself am edging. Well, you're edging yourself. We're all edging. Now then, who was Arthur Briscoe?
Does this have something to do with our unconscious visitor? Who's he, by the way?
Why, he's... Do you know, Barbara, I completely forgot to ask him.
Well, we'd better find out, hadn't we?
Oh, the shame if we've been sheltering the agent of a foreign power or something. Come along.
Something tells me the Grey Goose is about to ruffle his own feathers.
Don't breathe it. Wars are not the only members of the present company possessing ears. If you must say things like that, call me Mr. Hex, like Charlie Austin.
But seriously, Mr. Hex, like Charlie Austin, do you sense dirty work?
I can't imagine what you mean. I ask you a simple question, expecting a simple answer.
Arthur Briscoe was wanted for forgery, false pretences, theft, and triple murder. Died a natural death some years ago before Inspector Ford and his brood caught up with him.
Ah, so you do remember. Go to the top of class. And observe closely while I give our sleeping beauty the once-over. Now, first, top coat pocket. Yes, wallet. And in the outer compartment of the wallet, hoopla.
A calling card?
No, looks more like a bill, folded up tight. Oh, wrong again. The receipt. Debtor to Dr... Yes, details of treatment. Addressed to Mr. Edward Stokes, The Lodge, Green Meadows.
And this must be he.
Why, of course, that explains it.
Explains what?
Why he tried
to...
Yes, the dear ghoulish creature. He was so persuasive I could have died on the spot to oblige him. But don't you see? He comes from the Lodge, Green Meadows.
Good heavens. Green Meadows is a cemetery. That's right.
And who would conceivably live in the Lodge, Green Meadows, except the caretaker? Barbara, we have in our midst the prostrate form of Edward Stokes, the organizing grandee of the graveyards, the caster of plots, to coin a phrase, before whom even Death the Grim Reaper must get in a queue and wait to be served. Look on, ye mighty, and despair.
Very interesting. But you haven't told me yet what it all has to do with Arthur Briscoe. He was the one you called me in about.
I just wanted to check with you that I had the name right. My memories of the gent tallied exactly with yours.
Well,
Well, friend Stokes dropped a loose word or two before he passed out. Call it the 7-day hike of a rambling mind if you like. But he said, "The world thinks so, you think so, but I know that Arthur Briscoe is not dead."
what? Oh, Rolly, that's ridiculous. I remember his funeral as clearly as if it were yesterday.
His funeral and burial at Green Meadows.
Oh. But surely you wouldn't take any notice.
Where's the phone book? Ah. The truth is, Barbara, I feel sorry for this old boy. He's a bit of a puzzle. Why should he be shunting about town in his sorry state, sick and not quite right on the head? And why, if he wanted to dream up a little fiction about one of his charges coming back to life, should he choose, of all people, the unlamented Arthur Briscoe?
Who are you ringing?
I'm going to ring up Green Meadows and see what I can find out.
Well, it's your funeral.
My dear girl, please. You really must exercise a little taste in your, However, I shall be cautious.
Hello?
Is that the Green Meadows Cemetery?
It is?
I wanted to get in touch with Mr. Edward Stokes.
That's a coincidence. So do I. My name's Inspector Ford, Scotland Yard. What's yours?
Inspector... Barbara, who do you think answered the phone if not our old pal Inspector Ford? He's gunning for the bird we've trapped. Now the plot begins to thicken.
It looks as though Rolland Fletcher has got himself involved in another adventure. Be sure to follow it up when next we meet the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
When a strange old character named Edward Stokes runs into me and is so concerned about my welfare as to try and sell me a plot of earth for a grave, I think it's my cue to pass away, from his company, that is. But he turns out to have a bad heart and a wandering mind, so I take him home, where he passes away, from consciousness, that is. But not before he's breathed to Barbara and me the cryptogram. The world thinks so, you think so, but I know that Arthur Briscoe is alive. Now, this Arthur Briscoe was in his time a triple murderer who cheated the gallows only by managing to perish before the law caught up with him. Interested, I ring the Green Meadows Cemetery, where Stokes holds the office of caretaker. Imagine my surprise when I'm answered by my old companion of combat, Inspector Ford.
I said my name's Inspector Ford. What's yours?
Barbara, it's Inspector Ford. Now we shall have some fun. Mustn't let him recognize my voice. I wanted to get in touch with Edward Stokes, the caretaker there.
Are you a friend?
An associate, rather. He's the, sleeping partner in a little venture of mine.
When did you last see him?
Why, shortly before he slept, come to think of it.
Now, look here. This is a police matter. If you know where Edward Stokes is, you'd better say so.
But, Inspector, I rang up to get in touch with him. Whatever has poor old Edward done to have the strong arm of the law raised against him? Is he a criminal?
No, he's not a criminal. It's simply that we must know his whereabouts. He seems to have disappeared. Now, sir, if you please, when did you last see Edward Stokes?
Eh?
I said, when did you last see Edward Stokes?
Yeah, I can't hear you, I'm afraid, Inspector.
When did you last see Edward Stokes?
Oh, I wouldn't shout, Inspector. Shouting distorts the voice on the telephone.
Oh, you...
It was something about when I saw Edward last, wasn't it? Well, now, let's see. It wasn't April, it was... Yes, it must have been March. Ah, yes, about a month ago.
About a month ago.
In Piccadilly Circus, about 30 feet up.
About 30 feet. Why, that'd put him on top of the Eros statue.
Yes, that would be right, Inspector. Boat race night. He's a gay old rip. Good night.
But...
Oh, Rolly, you shouldn't have.
Well, why not? I wouldn't put it past old Stokes to have a dash at selling burial space under Eros. You know, to one of those South American Indians who bury their dead in trees. Besides, the badinage gave me time to think. I've got an idea.
What?
Have you noticed some extraordinary similarities between Stokes and myself? Height, facial type?
Well, no.
That's because you've never trained yourself to notice such things. But the likeness is there, and you know what I'm going to do?
No? What?
Wait for the cover of night. No sense in taking ridiculous chances, you see. In the shroud of dark, I shall feel confident in the graveyard. I say, that's not bad. Did you hear? In the shroud of dark?
Rolly, what are you talking about?
Well, isn't it clear? I like old Stokes, and I'm loath to turn him out into the cold and the waiting arms of Inspector Ford without further information. Therefore, come 7 o'clock, I'm disguising myself as the old boy, shunting off to the last resting place, and getting myself arrested for whatever it is he's done.
Rolly, you're not.
Oh, yes, I am. It'll be great fun. Pass the crepe here, Mirandy. This is going to be a masterpiece. Nice and dark. Dim lights in the lodge up there. Yes, we shall pull it off, all right. Ah, 7:45. Well, here's where a blow is struck for Schizophrenics Anonymous. Ta-ta, Fletcher. Enter Stokes. Up to the lodge and heaven forfend the right.
Who's that?
Really? So soon?
Who is it, I said?
Perhaps I should ask the same thing. You've no right in here at this hour of the night.
What the... Oh, no, it couldn't be you.
Well, chap in mufti. Doesn't look like a copper.
So you came back, did you? Under your own steam. Don't you realize I've had every policeman in the area searching for you?
Indeed, very nice of you, I must say. And what gives you the impression I was in need of a search party?
Ah, your mind is behaving itself again, eh? Well, that's fortunate. In fact, running into you before the police did is fortunate in its way, too.
What do you mean?
We've got a few things to clear up, old boy. Little question of where loyalties lie and that sort of thing. I did right by you, but it seems you can't be trusted where I'm concerned.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know damn well I could have had you out of this job of yours years ago. Then you wouldn't have had any place to go. You've no money of your own, and who would employ an old, feeble man whose mind is going? But that was our agreement. If you kept my secret, I'd see to it you remained here.
Well, I upheld my end of the bargain.
Oh, did you? The letter you wrote to the police proves it, I suppose. I was a fool to have supposed you could be relied upon. I should have got rid of you the moment you found out. But your goose is cooked now, my friend. I've blown the gaff to the police, about you, I mean, and in such a way that no one will ever believe your story. There's a charge out against you. You'll spend the rest of your life behind bars. Behind bars, Stokes. And you know the kind of bars I mean, don't you? The ones that crisscross on the windows. The ones you've always been afraid of. You're not going to like being behind them, old boy. Why, a man can go mad cooped up behind them.
You mean...
That's exactly what I mean. I mean it with a vengeance. Of course, there is an alternative.
Alternative?
Yes. This.
Gun.
What more likely than that the poor old nut, knowing his capture was nigh, should blow his brains out by the graveyard gates? is likely, isn't it, Stokes? I'm not inventing things. You don't want to spend the rest of your days in that place.
That place? Yes, yes.
No, don't snatch. It's not necessary that you take the gun. I'll do the job for you. Less painful that way, less of a strain. Then when you've passed on, I'll put the revolver in your hand. When you're discovered, it will be suicide.
Oh, I really don't think that's the best plan.
You don't? You'd prefer the bars, you mean? Right on the horns of a dilemma, aren't you? Finding it hard to decide. Well, let me assure you, in your state, you're not really capable of making a decision. The other place would be worse than death. This is the best plan.
No, it isn't.
This is... What the blazes are you doing?
Getting even with you for that crack about the goose being cooked. You weren't to know, but I've an affection for geese. Thanks. I'll take the gun.
You're not Stokes.
No, I had to drop the mask a little, haven't I? Pity, but I couldn't allow your sort of shenanigans.
Help! Police! Help!
Oh, dear, not according to plan at all. If that's the attitude you're going to take, a nice long sleep is indicated. Good night!
Oh!
That's the way. Now then, I wonder who you are, eh? Tough sort of customer, obviously. And not at all devoted to friend Stokes. Ah, here's something. It's a notebook. Property of W. Marvin Jones, Esquire. Marvin Jones. Confound it all, that name's familiar.
Oh,
hello. Wakey. That won't do. I need you out for a long time yet. W. Marvin Jones, Esquire. Hold tight. Very rude about that goose, weren't you? Now then, leaving his nibs out like the proverbial light, I think I shall double back to the public phone down the road. Disguise penetrated. A word to Barbara is necessary.
Hello?
Rolly here, Barbara.
Rolly, has something gone wrong?
What a cheerful little creature you are. Has something gone wrong indeed. I expect you spent the evening shaking your money box, wondering out whether or not you could raise enough to bail me out.
But has something gone wrong?
Yes.
Rolly, what?
I had to cosh an obstreperous gent, name of W. Marvin Jones, Esquire, who now knows I'm not Stokes. Does that name mean anything to you, by the way?
Marvin Jones? No.
What a rotten memory you must have. Bad as mine. Listen, has Stokes said anything of importance?
No, Rolly. He's been rather dazed ever since he came round.
Poor old chap. I want you to get him out here right away.
What?
I shall have to still call on Ford, but as soon as my Koshi wakes, I shall be forced to drop my disguise.
But is it safe to...
Safe as houses, if you can be here in 15 minutes. Stokes will be all right. This Marvin Jones wanted to shoot him, that is, me, before he was dissuaded. He also threatened him, that is, again me, with a life behind bars that crisscross on the windows. Now, what does that sound like to you?
Rolly, an asylum.
Exactly. Apparently Ford is here to see that Stokes is committed.
Oh, poor old chap.
It all smells very highly. If only I could track down that name, it might give me something. Marvin Jones. Familiar as familiar.
Can't help you, I'm afraid.
Stokes has also written a letter of some sort. That I've got to find out about, too. Well, see you in 15 minutes.
Right.
Bye-bye. Now for the hard bit. Imagine, after all these years of life beyond the law, the Grey Goose is actually going to give himself up. Well, forward the buffs.
So Rolland Fletcher is going to walk into the arms of the law. Will his disguise be discovered? Listen to more of this adventure when next we meet the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
What began as a simple brotherly desire for the health and happiness of Edward Stokes has now become a positive passion with me. For now, having taken the place of that gentleman, and having discovered that squads of police are running him down in order to commit him as a lunatic, and that a nasty character by the name of W. Marvin Jones is anxious to see him shuffle off this mortal coil, I realize that if anything goes wrong with my plan, R. Fletcher will be the one to collect all the unpleasantness. Nonetheless, I'm confident that the real Edward Stokes is having a rather mysterious fast one put over him, and I proceed as intended. Still disguised as Stokes, I make my way to the lodge of the graveyard to present myself to Inspector Ford. W. Marvin Jones is lying unconscious among the ghosts at the bottom of the garden, and Barbara is coming in the car with Stokes in tow. Hesitantly, I produce a door key which I lifted from Stokes and let myself into the lodge. Oh, Stokes, Stokes, thy need is greater than mine. At least it had better be, or I'm making an incomparable ass of myself.
Who's there? Is that you, Capel?
Would that it were, whoever Capel may be.
I beg your pardon?
You certainly took long enough. Next time I send you down for a packet of cigarettes. Great Scott! You must be Stokes.
Yes, and may I ask who you are and what you were doing in my house?
What am I... This is fantastic. Doctor! Doctor, come here, quickly.
Doctor?
Well, it's very nice to see you, Mr. Stokes. Forgive this intrusion. When I tell you I'm from Scotland Yard, perhaps you'll understand.
I don't see what that has to do with it at all. I myself am from Kensington. But that doesn't give me any right to barge into your place.
Yes. It will take some explaining. My name is Ford, Inspector Ford.
Never heard of you in my life.
Oh, what's the matter, Ford? I heard you... Good Lord.
Is somebody else?
This is Dr. Banning. Oh, there's nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Stokes. We'd like to have a word with you, that's all. Won't you come inside?
Really, I hardly think it's right to invite a man into his own place.
You'll feel at home in your own living room, won't you? Very comfortably furnished, if I may say so. Excellent taste. No doubt you'd like to rest after your journey.
Look here, this has gone far enough.
Shan't keep you a moment. Just a couple of questions when you feel up to them. In the meantime, sit down, relax. Try not to think about it.
Think about what?
That's right, that's the way. With you in a moment.
Well, they must think the poor old boy's a nut. Door locked and a lot. Wonder should I cook, kick and scream? No, I'll just sidle over to the portals and see if I can find out what's going on, I think. Let's see now. Or rather, here.
Going to be all right, Inspector.
Yes, but is he dangerous?
Ah.
Hardly dangerous. I can't tell for the moment, but I should say he's a clear enough case of split personality.
Split personality. Oh, if they only knew.
Well, that simply means he's not dangerous at the moment.
Yes, he's himself at the moment, I should say. Came home just as a normal thing, you see. Not aware there was anything wrong. It's best it should happen like that. I'd be glad if you'd stay until the ambulance arrives. I don't believe he'll revert, but if he does...
Yes, I understand, Doctor. I'll give orders for my men to be brought up to the house.
You've been most cooperative, Inspector, especially as lunacy cases do not come within your duties.
Oh, no more than my duty.
Uh-oh. Soft soap department now.
It was the people involved that got my department interested. And that was what brought me into it, the Briscoe angle. Arthur Briscoe was notorious in his time, you know. If there was any chance of the allegation being true...
Now we are getting somewhere.
Quite. But we need no longer have any doubt about that.
No, none at all.
No doubt about what, confound it. This is what I want to hear about Arthur Briscoe.
Well, the attack on Mr. Marvin Jones was the thing that really put us on the move.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that tied up. It gave strength to the possibility.
What? Stokes coshed Marvin Jones, Esquire? Oh, wonderful chap.
The attack's quite consistent with split personality. Probably, for Stokes' other self, Briscoe, towards whom he must have a secret hate, is identified with Marvin Jones.
Eh?
Well, I shall get inside and speak to him. Can't start too soon on these fellows, you know.
Back to the corner. Round 2 coming up.
Let me know when the ambulance... when those people arrive, Inspector.
Yes, very well, Doctor.
Well, Mr. Stokes, how are we feeling now, eh? better?
I'm sitting here waiting for some explanation of this outrageous episode. You're a medical man. Perhaps you can tell me why I'm treated like an outcast in my own house.
Mr. Stokes, this isn't the easiest thing in the world to say. You think you are well. Physically, you may be. You feel in the pink, perhaps. But mentally, there's, just a little disorder. Nothing serious, but...
Off my rocker, so to speak.
Off your... well, one hardly likes to put it like that.
Don't be afraid of how you put it, Doctor. It all amounts to the same thing. You think I'm mad. You may not know it, but I'm as sane as you are. Honestly. Painfully honestly, in fact.
Yes, of course. It will all take time to work out. We must dig back into the past. Perhaps in your early life...
what about my early life?
Well, who can tell? There will be something.
I was always buttoned up properly.
Oh, yes.
I didn't chew my fingernails.
But...
I was not abnormally fond of my mother. And I didn't have a father who disliked me.
Oh, Mr. Stokes, please. There's no sense in making it more difficult for yourself. You are a schizophrenic. What we call a split personality. You're yourself at the moment, but there are times when another takes control of you, rules you. Now, in a little while, some people will be coming who want to help you. It will be necessary for you to go with them to a hospital.
And all this because I decided Marvin Jones should be taught a lesson, eh?
Oh, so you remember that, do you? Good. I shouldn't have thought you would have. You wanted to teach Marvin Jones a lesson, didn't you? A bit of a Spartan lesson, wasn't it? Hitting him with that heavy walking stick.
Walking stick? Oh, is that what I hit him with? Fancy that.
You see, if we face up to these things in the cold light of day, they become so silly, don't they? We'll go over the whole business together. When we've dug round and found the reason for it, this other you will disappear. And then you'll just laugh
But why should I have wanted to hit Marvin Jones?
Let's not cover too much ground at once. This will all take time. You could say your antipathy to Marvin Jones sprang from substitution.
Substitution?
Yes, your real victim wasn't accessible, so you chose the nearest to him.
Real victim? Oh, dear. Who was my real victim?
Why, Briscoe, of course.
Arthur Briscoe?
It's nothing to worry about. It's all in your mind.
Oh.
We shall drag it out into the light of day in time.
Yeah?
Now, at this moment, you know Arthur Briscoe is dead. So do I.
Yes?
But you invented the little fantasy that he was still alive. You remember the letter you wrote to the police saying perhaps just that?
Yes, rather.
Oh, splendid. This is wonderful. I think we've caught your complaint just in time. Well, now, you wanted to revenge yourself on that fantasy. But you couldn't, because Arthur Briscoe was a dead man. So, what did you do? You substituted the nearest person to Arthur Briscoe, Marvin Jones.
Nearest person to...
What was more natural? Marvin Jones is Briscoe's uncle. He was often here to visit his nephew's grave. In fact, he came surprisingly often. So, knowing he was close to Briscoe, you chose him.
Briscoe's uncle. Why, yes, of course. How stupid of me.
Eh?
How could I have forgotten that? I must be going crazy. I mean, yes, you are so right, Doctor.
You're still mixed up, aren't you?
Help! Police!
Great Scott, what's that?
I've got a nasty idea.
No, it couldn't be.
Help! He struck me down, I tell you. But he's not Stokes.
What's going on out there?
There seems to be some sort of commotion outside.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
I've managed to get myself and everyone else concerned into a pretty pickle this trip. In fact, if we must make use of the nauseous phrase again, almost cooked the goose. The Grey Goose. Disguised as Stokes, I managed to cosh the Marvin Jones exhibit, deceive Inspector Ford and an earnest doctor, and in the meantime discover certain things which lead me to believe I've solved the mystery surrounding Stokes. But now, Nemesis, smartly fitted out in a bobby's helmet, is hot on the trail. And it's more than fortunate that Barbara kept our tryst at the graveyard gates with the real Stokes in tow. Now it's a matter of completing the swap before our island's defenders clamp in with their size 12s.
Worked the whole thing out, did you say, Rolly?
Now, less of the small talk until we get organised. There's a dear girl. Now then, Stokes, come on, old chap.
What on earth? Good heavens, who are you?
Oh, yes. You didn't get the chance to see me in my new disguise, did you? Never mind. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery and all that. We're a couple of peas in a pod, aren't we? Come along now.
But
Sorry to turf you out, but the snow is not so cold tonight. And I think you'll discover before long that it's in your best interests. That's the way.
You look exactly like me. Exactly.
Oh, dear. I must get that out of his head. Look, I'm going now, but quite a group of chaps are coming up in a minute. Every last one of them interested in buying a grave plot. It'll be the biggest order you've had in a long time.
Really? At this hour, it's an odd time to do business.
Not to these chaps. They work the clock round, and how. Blimey, they're upon us. Start up, Barbara.
Right.
Sell on, Stokes. Sell 'em all plots, and see if you can talk 'em into occupying them. Cheerio.
Dear, at this hour.
That car! He got away in that car!
No, just passing, I think.
Good evening, gentlemen. Rather an odd time to have you call, but always happy to oblige.
What the... There he is!
Stokes! What the devil are you up to?
I beg your pardon. I am happy to accommodate you, but I must ask you to observe the courtesies. How many plots did you require?
How many what?
Plots. I understand you're interested in plots.
Man, this is out of my territory. Now he's not dangerous anymore. All right, men, bring him back to the lodge.
Inspector, this man is an imposter.
So you remark, Mr. Marvin Jones. We'll go into that back at the lodge.
No, wait, I'll show you. This hair is obviously false. He's in some sort of disguise. Watch. Come here, whoever you are.
Please don't.
Why, there's some mistake. This can't be Stokes.
Yet the hair is real. Mr. Stokes is an old man and not in good health, Mr. Marvin Jones. I'll thank you to come back to the lodge with us. All right, men.
Far enough, Rolly?
Yes, I should think so. Don't want to be miles away. I'm going back in a minute.
Well, chuck away that disguise and tell me what's going on. That's the first thing.
Ah, yes, the disguise. I shall feel sorry to part with it. I was beginning to feel like a walking Renoir. Well, remember this Marvin Jones that you couldn't remember, to coin a phrase?
Yes?
I found out that he's the late Arthur Briscoe's uncle. A strangely devoted uncle, too. Visits his nephew's grave all the time.
Well, people do that sort of thing, don't they?
Not if they're only uncles. But let that pass for the moment. There's another odd thing, too. Now that I've told you Marvin Jones is Briscoe's uncle, does that bring anything to you? Newspaper items, etc.?
Well, I don't know. Wait a minute.
Of course, you were a mere child at the time of Briscoe's death.
Hold on, Rolly. There was something odd about Briscoe's uncle. Nobody in his district knew him or something like that.
Ah, it all comes back to her. Yes, Barbara, Briscoe's uncle was a recluse. Briscoe's only relative. And you know something? The district he lived in was right here, Green Meadows.
Why...
Question 3. Why should poor old Stokes have invented a fantasy about Briscoe being alive? Here they think he's as mad as a maggot, apparently. Exhibiting careful selection and good taste, he coshed Marvin Jones, who then proceeded to put him in as certifiable on the strength of that and the letter he wrote.
Letter?
Stokes dropped a line to the police, stating Arthur Briscoe was alive and kicking. Probably only a few hours before I picked him up in the park.
Rolly, what does it all mean?
It means this. Stokes is not mad. You and I know that. He's sick and needs a long rest, but he's not crazy. Therefore, he doesn't invent things. Marvin Jones is not behaving at all as Marvin Jones should. Therefore, it's 10 bob to any oyster. He isn't Marvin Jones.
Rolly, you think...
Only one thing puzzles me.
What?
Why?
Eh?
No. The why, the wherefore, the reason for it all. But I've got a notion about that, too.
What?
Who is buried in Briscoe's grave? Obviously not the real Marvin Jones, because he made some statements at the time of Briscoe's funeral. Thus it must be somebody else. Or perhaps nobody at all.
Nobody at all?
Leave the boy alone, he's got an idea. If this chap masquerading as Marvin Jones really is Briscoe, then he must be making a living somehow. And Briscoe was never one to make a living honestly if he could do it otherwise.
Like some other people we know.
Yes, but Briscoe isn't in my class. He's the sort who gives the profession a bad name. Anyway, Briscoe is coining it somehow, and from what I remember of the gent's methods, that would tie up with there being nobody in the grave.
I don't follow that at all.
No, perhaps not. I had to chase a long way myself before I caught up with it. However, back to see if I'm right now, and then home to our virtuous couches. Be by the main gate again, and have the car ready to push off at an instant's notice.
Good luck, Rolly.
There's the lodge, and a light on in the living room, presumably where the principals in our little drama are gathered, giving the treatment to poor old Stokes. Now, how to get Marvin Jones, or whoever he is, out of there? I got it. The old schoolboy trick. Half a brick and an open expanse of glass. Let's see. Here's a dainty missile. Well calculated to bend the transparency. 1, 2, 3, and heave! Gone, policeman, gone!
Who the blazes threw that? Missed me by an inch.
I didn't see, sir. It came from the back, I think.
Well, find out!
Now, stone in the other direction, just to confuse them. Heave! Blimey, it must be a greenhouse down there. What a smasher.
He's over by the conservatory. Must be a hoodlum. Come on!
Right, sir. This way, men.
Excellent, excellent. Ducks decoyed, we press on. Mr. Marvin Jones and Mr. Stokes alone.
What on earth?
Someone you very nearly had a pot at a little while ago. Someone who wants to talk to you badly.
You leave me alone.
Oh, no, we are going to have a little chat, and we shall have to move before Inspector Ford gets back. In all our interest, I'd better shut you up. Pardon my hand. Splendid. Now off we go.
What on earth's happening this evening?
Never fear, Stokes. It'll be over soon. Have you sold those plots yet? Well, keep at it. My friend and I here are going out to have a look round ourselves. But the plot we're interested in is already tenanted by Arthur Briscoe. Right, old chap. Quick frog march.
I'll have you arrested for this. I'll have you put in jail.
All right, we can stop now. Here we are. Recognize the vista?
It's Arthur's grave.
Your grave.
Eh?
You're Arthur Briscoe.
Are you mad?
Not at all. Shall I explain it to you? Your uncle, whom you impersonate, is a recluse. Nobody's ever seen him. He doesn't go out. He said a few words at the time of your death, and since then you've been appearing as him with impunity, knowing there was no one to say you weren't Marvin Jones himself.
Look here.
As for poor old Stokes, you were blackmailing him. He knew his mind was on the blink, didn't want to lose his job. You told me that much yourself not an hour ago. He must have discovered your deception in some way, and you threatened him with being committed if he gave you away. And you tried precisely that when he went a bit nuttier than before and wrote that letter to the police. How did Stokes discover your little game? He must have seen you doing something odd about this grave. Now, chum, I want to know what that was.
This is the most incredible nonsense.
I want to know what you're up to, Briscoe.
Oh, my arm.
It may break in this clamp. Come on. What's the thing about this grave? What is it? What is it?
Stop behind headstone. Small knob. Twist it.
That's more like it.
Oh.
Twist knob, eh?
Oh, my arm.
Let's see now. Yes, there we are. Twist. Well, the top slides off. Just as I thought. The grave isn't a grave at all. Now, what's inside? Well, even a light switch on the jamb. Some stairs leading down to a printing press, and... Oh, Mr. Briscoe, not up to your old tricks again. Dead all these years and still turning out those dud notes. Your profession is like your life, my friend. Counterfeit. And that is virtually the end of the story. Briscoe, all those years ago, had hit on a clever way of avoiding the police and still opening up for business as usual. He died, but he didn't lie down. And if it hadn't been for old Edward Stokes' chance discovery, he might have gone on being dead for, well, for the term of his natural life. There was a little rider to the whole business. Inspector Ford, very puzzled about the mysterious stone-throwing, came back to the lodge. And what did he find? Well, a little note poked under the door, just for him.
Marvin Jones is actually Briscoe. Please find same trussed up in his own counterfeiting plant on the site of his own grave. Also find enclosed £200, which will pay for a long rest cure for Edward Stokes. I should have liked it to be more, but it's quite a job finding good notes when you've so many duds around. Cheerio. And a grey goose feather. Well, I'm damned.
So ends another of Rolland Fletcher's adventures. Be sure to listen when next we meet the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
Well, my recent adventure with one Bernie Casson, smash-and-grab artist, in particular brought me very closely in touch with the police, especially Inspector Ebenezer Ford. I've outwitted Ford on a few occasions, but he's nobody's fool, and for the moment I'm compelled to hold him in extreme respect, for he's rather too hot on the trail for my comfort. That affair of the diamond, which I still possess, was a very close thing. I know that Ben is almost certain that I'm his bête noire, the Grey Goose.
You'll have terribly hard work proving it, Rolly.
Yes, of course. Surmise and suspicion must stand up to proof, and old Ben hasn't one iota of that very necessary factor so far.
Except a collection of grey goose feathers. Those you've left here and there from time to time.
My panache.
Your what?
Don't you know? Oh, obviously you don't, so I'm going all erudite on you. That's swank in most languages.
Oh.
To have one's plume shorn off one's helmet in the old days of chivalry was a knight's disgrace or indignity. He lost his panache, or feather. With it he lost caste, face if you like. Thus when knights were bold, panache actually stood for a knight's pride, his innate chivalry, his ideals, all that.
And 1066.
Thank you, Barbara. I am now back to earth.
Sorry, but I'm just bursting with news. Beautiful news.
It's fine. What is the news?
It's father.
What? Have they wakened up at last?
Yes. You remembered how you cornered Bellew, and Mr. Howard Warren, by your help, managed to take the papers he'd found and deliver them to your friend Hugh Taverner at the Treasury that night?
Yes, by Jove.
Well, listen to this in tonight's paper. The Crown, upon receiving certain documents concerning the ramifications of syndicates controlled by one Brian Faversham, has decided that to an extent there has been a miscarriage of justice, in that the said Brian Faversham, sentenced to 12 years penal servitude for defalcation and misrepresentation, was in many respects the victim of strong capital interests. These interests, represented by some very well-known men, manipulated affairs in such manner as to place the blame on Brian Faversham. The Crown has decided to reopen the case, and it is hinted in many quarters that some of our biggest stock and share operators may not get off scot-free. The strangest aspect of this affair is that several of these men seem to have suffered in other ways. 3 have suicided, some have recently faced bankruptcy, and some have abandoned the wealth and ease they were enjoying and fled the country.
Is that all?
No, listen to this. In well-informed circles, there is a whisper that, in every case, that elusive character in our midst, the fabulous Grey Goose, was instrumental in the downfall and disappearance of these men. Note, the editor places no credence in this statement, and although compelled to print same, regards it as high-flown.
Oh, does he? Well, we believe it, don't we, Barbara?
I hardly know what to say to you, Rowley. You scared these men. You helped Mr. Warren to get the papers to the right quarter when they were almost stolen from him.
Tut, tut, now.
You did. And if a retrial is ordered, it'll be because of you. Thanks, Rowley.
Think nothing of it. Now, referring to the editor's note.
Yes. How dare he?
That's right. How dare he? Who's he to belittle the Grey Goose?
Yes, who is he?
He has impugned my panache.
Definitely.
The dirty dog.
The ink-slinging so-and-so.
Exactly. I completely agree with the so-and-so, and would even like to stick an adjective in front of it. But if your so-and-so means what my so-and-so means, that's low enough.
Oh. And you're going to declare war on our editor?
Definitely. But first, I must know his name. Let's see the paper. The Evening Gazette. Should be easy. I'll pay him a call in the very near future, probably in person. Once before, Barbara, we had the great pleasure of putting a night editor in his place.
My word, we did.
Of course we did. This time we shall put a real slap-up managing editor in his. I'll squeeze him in his printing presses till his veins run blue-black ink. Wait on. We'll ring the blighter up. What's his name, remember?
Herbert Annandale.
Good.
Hello? Gazette?
Listen, hireling, slave of the ink. I wish to speak to the managing editor.
Rubbish. Try the King of Siam.
Listen, funny face. I even might do that when I've time. For the moment, however, Annandale will do.
Annandale? For heaven's sake. Whoever you are, hang up. Mr. Annandale doesn't speak to mad contributors. If you got news or something, phone it through to the desk.
The desk? That abode of blue pencil and blots? No friend. Mr. Annandale or no one?
All right, it's no one.
Wait on, impatient. Just say to the exclusive one that the Grey Goose is calling.
The great... I say, is this a gag?
No, Sonny. Now, stop shining that stool and transfer this call to one Annandale, pronto. That means quick.
Yes? You there?
Waiting. How is Mr. Annandale?
He will speak to you. Plugging you across, sir. The caller on your line, sir.
Now, look here, I'm not in the habit of answering calls from outside. I have a staff to attend to such matters.
How splendid. You know, Mr. Annandale, I've long wanted a job like that.
Yes, well, I'll give you 1 minute. You say you are this Grey Goose idiot? Well, I'm interested.
Good.
Merely as a journalist. I do think in his very limited orbit he provides news. Thus, as I said, I'm interested. Now speak your piece and get off my phone.
Right. Mr. Annandale, you added an editorial note to a report tonight concerning a Crown inquiry into the facts concerning one Brian Faversham.
I did, or my sub-editor did, upon my direction.
Thank you. You practically denied the fact that the Grey Goose had uncovered facts that led the Crown to the point of reopening the case of the said Brian Faversham.
A lot of nonsense.
Permit me to disagree. Sir Thomas Maybury went bankrupt. I'm afraid I burgled his safe.
Oh, you did?
I did, and I sent his company directors most illuminating data. He was a director of the Brian Faversham syndicate. Remember, the said Faversham, now in jail for 12 years?
Go on, go on.
Another of the syndicate shot himself.
Oh, did you tell him to?
Roughly. Only roughly, mind you. Then another and another. Then one man absconded to South America. 2 others are lost on the continent.
And you claim to have engineered all this?
But definitely. I seem to have the knack. And if you look up the records, dear Mr. Managing Editor, you'll find that my now famous Grey Goose feather figured most prominently in every case.
A lot of theatrical nonsense. A blind to gull the public, to persuade the morons that the Grey Goose is a mysterious avenger and an anonymous benefactor to lost causes.
Thanks. I now know your attitude, Mr. Managing Editor. This call is now finished, but before I use up my last few seconds, let me tell you something.
I haven't time to listen.
But you will. Just watch yourself, sir. Grey Goose feathers, frail as they are, can break a man. Break a man. Did you hear me? Good day, sir.
Oh, he doesn't sound very convinced, does he?
No, he does not. And that's given me an idea. Do you believe in ghosts, Barbara?
I don't think so.
Do you think this twerp Annandale would?
The last man in the world, I'd say.
Bet on it?
Well, yes.
You'll lose, so no bet's taken. Now listen, belief or not, skepticism or not, I'm going to haunt this bloke.
Haunt him?
Yes, from dawn to dawn. This fellow is going to live, eat, sleep on a diet of goose feathers. And this is how we do it. Listen, wench, and learn your part. Get Charlie Austin down here, pronto. He's in this. And naturally, I wasn't present myself in all that follows. But my faithful Charlie and Barbara, turn and turn about, reported to me day by day. While in the meantime, I took a bit of a hand myself to pile on the agony. Firstly, Charlie and I visited Annandale's very important-looking abode in an exclusive road in Hampstead. Go easy, Charlie. He's got about 3 servants at the least.
Nothing to it, Mr. Hicks. Oh, there's the front door open. Now what?
Nobody about. We've got to find his own room.
That'll be upstairs, I reckon.
Right, lead on then.
Cool, cop the odour. Otter of roses. Cool, Jiminy. That reminds me when I was in a sweet dame's place.
Keep your murky past out of this. It's his wife's room. The word is attar of roses, not otter. However, we've no quarrel with Mrs. Annandale, so let's try the next room.
This is okay. Boots, pyjamas, and cigar butts. No blinking attar about this.
All right, touch nothing. Shove a feather in the looking-glass hinge.
How many love tokens do we leave here?
Several. One in his pyjama case. Right. Now the electric light switch. There. Good. That's half a dozen. Come on, hop it.
Nobody's stirring. Funny.
Mr. and Mrs. A, I was told, went to the theatre.
Oh, blimey. Only hope the show runs overtime.
Next door's the dining room.
Not a sound from the servants yet.
Yet? I'll be most annoyed if there is. That'll mean some screeches and whatnot. Hello? Supper tray all laid for 2. Excellent. Here. What about a feather for supper? Excellent. Put one in each sandwich, Charlie.
Oh, blimey, we'll choke him before we're done. Right, do you think I could scoff one?
I think you could, but you won't. Listen. Front door.
Oh, good show, wasn't it?
Yes, but I'm tired. I told Beacon to leave a drink and some sandwiches.
Behind the curtains, quick.
Yes, very good show. I'm rather fed up with ballets. Prefer the turns. I mean the individual ones.
I'll pour you a drink. Whiskey?
Yes, please.
Oh, now, isn't that trying?
What?
Dozens and dozens of times I've told the servants not to use feather dusters on the glass and china. Look, there's a feather caught in the stopper of the whiskey decanter.
Oh, feathers? Nothing to that, surely.
Except disobedience.
Here, have a sandwich.
You take one. There's smoked salmon.
Smoked... Good grief! There's... Confounded, there's a feather in my sandwich. What sort of damn silly joke is this, Myra?
My dear, how should I know? After all, the servants don't dust the sandwiches with feather dusters. There's no feather...
I know all about this, my dear. It's no joke. It's a trick played by a very tricky gentleman. Come on upstairs. We'll forego the supper.
So far, so good, Charlie. Listen when he gets upstairs. Quiet now.
What the devil? Myra, where are you? Myra! Feathers all over my room. Feathers everywhere. Blast! This is the work of that idiot.
On which cue, Charlie, we quietly make our exit.
Not so fast, gentlemen. This, I think, needs a little explanation.
Oh, crikey.
For once, Rolland Fletcher must feel nonplussed. His feather offensive has broken down. But as of yore, he'll surely find a way out for the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
Of the 40 thieves on whose account Barbara's father is serving a 12 years jail sentence, we've taken reprisals against about 20. Ruin, bankruptcy, even suicide have resulted from our combined attacks. Thus, when the case of Brian Faversham was brought into the limelight again, and a possible retrial ordered, I was very annoyed with the managing editor of the Evening Gazette when he pooh-poohed the idea that the Grey Goose had made any contribution. So I decided to haunt him with grey goose feathers till he saw the light. Charlie Austin and I therefore raided his house and planted feathers all over. We were hiding neath the window curtains when Annandale, finding fish and feathers in his sandwiches, abandoned his supper and started with his wife to go up to bed. We were rather crestfallen, however, when said wife called us.
Nipped in the bud, that's what.
Don't be shy, gentlemen. Do come out from under those curtains. After all, I'm only one woman. You are two husky men, judging from the size of the feet protruding. Come on.
Myra! Myra!
Yes, dear?
What the devil's nonsense is this? There's feathers all over my room. Here, there, everywhere.
All right, dear. Won't be long. Up in a few minutes. Just tidying up down here. Now, come out, gentlemen.
Crumbs.
Ah, masked, I see. Well, in that case, you have a slight advantage. Pardon me if I'm wrong. Are you burglars? Oh, in case you are, let me warn you. I always carry this with me.
A gun? A toy.
But it doesn't fire toy bullets. Now, out with it. What are you doing hiding under my curtains?
To tell you the truth, Mrs. Annandale, we waited to see how Mr. Annandale enjoyed his sandwiches.
You didn't cut them, I presume?
No. Actually, we were only responsible for the filling of feathers.
Were you trying to choke him to death?
By no means. Actually, this was a piece of intimidation.
Go on.
He cast, in his paper, some aspersions on that character, the Grey Goose.
Why shouldn't he? The man's a brigand, a fugitive from justice.
Good heavens, no, madam. He's a jolly nice bloke, isn't he, Charlie?
My word, yes. And out to get them what does others a dirty piece of biz.
Thank you, Charlie. Now, Mrs. Annandale, why didn't you fire that gun, blow a police whistle, and generally raise Yahoo?
Because, my friend, I too would like to be a grey goose.
Madam, content yourself with being a very beautiful white swan.
Oh, but how gallant. And now be serious while I speak my little piece. This reopened affair of Brian Faversham concerns me deeply. Years ago, Faversham and I were great friends.
I think I understand.
His decline and fall, shall we call it, was engineered. And when I heard that the Grey Goose, or whoever it was, had attacked his erstwhile associates, I felt that somehow Brian's suffering would not last those terrible 12 years. Oh, can't you say something? I'm struggling to put in words something I can hardly admit to myself. Now listen. Prosecute all those men. Prosecute my husband. Drive them and him into the daylight. You've done much. Now do more and get your man out of Dartmoor.
Are you really addressing those words to me?
I am. Because mask or no mask, you're the man himself, the Grey Goose. Don't deny it. Now, if I can help, just ask me.
But your husband...
My husband. I haven't a real one. He's what you've seen, maybe heard about. Ruthless, a born bullier. Oh, why do I tell you this? Now, I must go. Listen, take any steps, any. Don't study my husband. If I can help, I will. Smother him with your feathers if you have to, and I'll help. Good night. The hall door is open.
Blimey. Lady Macbeth on the blooming...
Nothing like it, Charlie. Let's get out of this. We've just seen a slice of high life, and I don't like it. Come on, close the door quietly.
She don't like her old man, that's what.
No, and as such might prove a very valuable ally. I think at the same time, Charlie, never trust a woman too far. Why does she let us off when a howl would have brought the house down on us? Why does she come somewhat theatrical with a gun and a heartbreak story about a husband she hates, a man she used to love?
Oh, blimey, you got me there. You reckon the dame's a phony?
I wouldn't go that far. After all, she did see our toes under the curtains and didn't let on.
Queer, isn't it?
Definitely queer. However, we've got a bigger fish to fry.
We go on haunting.
Yes, we do. Mr. Annandale is to be tickled to death with his feathers, and so this is how we do it.
The morning's mail, Mr. Annandale.
Opened it?
Yes, sir. It's extraordinary.
How do you mean extraordinary? Well, go on. What's wrong?
Out of 57 letters, sir.
Yes?
39 are envelopes enclosing a feather.
A what?
A feather, sir.
Good grief. 39?
Yes, sir.
Yes, who is it?
The Grey Goose, Mr. Annandale.
Who?
The Grey Goose. The man who you, in your ignorance, thrust aside in a mean editorial note, remember?
What the devil do you want?
Nothing. Now, isn't that strange? No blackmail, no demand except one or two unvalued items.
What are they?
That you recant. Correct your libelous statement about myself. Instruct your editor to give press support to a retrial of Brian Faversham. Acknowledge and publicize the doubtful dealings that members of his syndicate were guilty of. Generally conduct a campaign for the reinstatement of an innocent man.
Is that all?
That is all. Campaign for reinstatement. The others are but two suggested progressive steps. On your way, Mr. Managing Editor, or else.
Or else what?
The feathers will fly to some real gust. Maybe a gale. Yippee!
Charlie, my boy, what do you do in your spare time?
Never had any.
No reading?
Not much.
Pity. All right, you've got a minute now. Have a look at that little classic.
Oh, thanks. Blimey. Hot number if ever I saw one.
All right, you don't have to glue yourself to it. Pass it back.
Just a moment.
Now. Thanks. Personally, I think that stuff is rather too advanced for a youngster like you. It's a little thing, as you've noticed, called yippee. Between the rather sexy pictures, there's printed stuff of interest.
Crikey, wait on. I like this paragraph.
You do not. It's subversive and does not apply to a free citizen like you.
Well, then how...
That's it, Charlie. How does that stuff reach the printers? How does a magazine like that get onto the bookstores and the newsstands?
That's it. How?
I'll tell you. This bit of dirt is edited, financed, distributed, and printed in camera by a big organization. A paper pursuing ordinary press paths as a reputable evening journal.
You don't say.
I do say, although I'm not exactly certain. Charlie, are you game to raid the Gazette offices with me?
Why not?
They'll be open all night. Press is running. Late and stop press news coming in before issue. Reporters all over the place.
Oh, we can't get anything.
That's easy. But how do we track down this dirt to its source? You see, the Gazette itself is a reputable journal, but its managing editor, one Annandale, is, in my opinion, running other lines.
How do you know?
I'll tell you. That little magazine has long been under suspicion. Charlie, printing presses, reporters, night staff and all, we pay a visit to the Gazette tonight. Okay by you?
Okay by me, Mr. Higgs.
Fine. Then 2 Ac Aimer at the Gazette. Excuse me, anybody here called Duffy?
Duffy? Ain't such a bird on the night staff.
Where else could I ask?
Next floor? Maybe he's a heel with a story. See the sub.
Come on, Charlie. We have to see the sub.
Sub? Who's he, a fish?
No, sub-editor, not submarine.
Blinking VR, this place. Give me a nice beer in the suburbs when I want to crack a crib.
Next floor. Charlie, you and I are extras.
Extras? Here, I don't get it.
If we run into someone, we are specials. We have news.
Have we?
Never mind. Look at this door. Managing editor, Mr. Annandale.
Okay, 2 a.m. We've got to Mr. Annandale's door. Now, what does that spell?
Quiet break-in. We wish to know about Mr. Annandale.
Ah, no sooner said than done. Here goes. Blimey, the beehive's still buzzing.
Yes. We'll have to work fast, Charlie.
What are we looking for?
Anything typed or written or printed that bears any relation to that magazine yippee. Blocks of bathing beauties, nightclub stuff and all that. Get the idea?
Good. I'm enthusiastic about this stuff.
Well, don't let your enthusiasm for a few pretty pictures blind you to the fact that a cop at this moment means jug for both of us. Now get a move on. The desk, those cupboards, the file cabinet, or if necessary, the safe. Go to it.
Okay. The operational word is search.
Even if you don't understand at the moment, Charlie, go right ahead in the search. You see, that stuff we happened on before, those photo blocks of bathing beauties, are covers for much more subtle stuff than mere feminine form.
Oh. So we got onto some commos, is that the idea?
Apparently, yes. That is the idea. Get a move on. We want photos particularly.
Crocky, here's a beauty. I could leave home for her.
That's a studio press photo, no good.
No good? Crocky, what do you want, the Queen of Sheba?
No, Charlie. I want a newsprint copy, not a glazed affair. Look, man, look.
Crocky, here's the very thing.
That's right. Newspaper pulls taken from the photograph itself.
Girl, still looks beautiful, don't she?
Quite so. But hold that sheet of newsprint up to a light. So, Now, look.
Printing under... I can't read a word.
Neither can I. But it's there in some foreign characters, printed under the picture of that exotic beauty.
How very right you are. But being right is not going to help you at this moment. Now hold it, my friends. This is the managing editor's office. Mine. One button pressed, it rings in the night staff room. And at least 6 reporters and other personnel will be here in 1 minute.
Well, press your button.
You will be arrested as common burglars, you know.
Very well. Press your button. We'll be arrested. That'll suit us very well. But what a story we'll have, eh? Have you thought of that, traitor?
That is a difficult poser, of course, for managing editor Annandale. Still, he might be able to rescue his papers before charging the burglars, but we somehow think that will not be permitted by the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose. Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
This character, managing editor of the Gazette, by name Annandale, published the good news that Barbara's father was to have his trial and conviction reviewed. I'd been the means of obtaining and sending forward documents found by an old friend of Barbara's father to the Chief Justice's Department. The Gazette pooh-poohed the instrumentality of the Grey Goose. So, with the help of Charlie Austin, the said Annandale met a grey goose feather, my little token, at every turn. Even his office correspondence contained a feather. In search of the lowdown on him, we raided his home, and then in turn his spacious office. Just as we thought we had the dope, the gentleman himself arrived. We, however, had a little of the wood on him, as you'll remember. All right, Annandale, press that button. Summon your night staff. Arrest us. What happens? We bring down on your head the whole of the security branch.
Nonsense. There is nothing subversive in the Gazette records or files.
Why, no. Can't find a thing. But then there is more than the Gazette involved in this.
What rubbish. I have no other interests than the Gazette.
Well, I beg to differ. You see, Annandale, I have one of your official envelopes here.
Stolen from my desk.
How true. I placed these newsprint pulls within the same. So. And right. So.
What are you going to do?
It's done. Addressed, as a matter of fact. Got a stamp of the way?
No. I wouldn't give it to you if I had.
All the better. Did you know that an unstamped letter is almost as safe as registration? You see, it's guarded by the post office authorities as if it were their ewe lamb. They, in delivering it, exact toll plus stamp value from the recipient.
You propose to post that envelope?
I do. I notice you have a postal chute in this office, so...
Stand away from there.
A gun, I see. Very grand, if I may say so, Annandale.
Give me that envelope, or I shall certainly shoot. My staff will then come up, and that glib tongue of yours won't be able to say anything anywhere.
Of course, that's a very potent argument in your favor.
I thought you would see that. Now, the envelope.
Charlie, there are moments when one has to confess one is beaten.
That's right, Mr. Hicks.
But this isn't one of them, is it? Quick, take that off! Splendid throwing, old man. A book fair in the kisser. Collar the gun and hold our friend.
You devils. You're not security men.
By no means. Strictly speaking, we should be called insecurity men. So many we know have been tripped up by us. Keep your eye on him, Charlie, while I post this letter. Voila, there it is. Adieu, there it goes. Now what, Mr. Annandale?
Look, I don't know who you are, but you've won this round. So I suppose I'll have to talk turkey. I'll do a deal.
What about it, Charlie?
Oh, I reckon we can listen.
So do I. By the way, we don't wish to be interrupted.
We shan't be.
Make sure, will you? Here's your intercom phone. Ring down and say you wish to be alone.
All right.
Sir?
No interruptions, please. I wish to be alone.
Yes, sir.
Blimey. Greta Garbo couldn't have done it better.
Now, what's going to be the palaver?
Just this. You have discovered some printed material on the back of that picture.
Yes, I held it up to the light. My friends will, with a little trouble, decipher it.
That is, if you tell them to look for it.
Which I intend to do. That picture of the luscious blonde goes into that rather dirty magazine, Yippee. Lots of bad selectors of their reading matter by it. But one, a regular subscriber, I shall call him, holds it up to the light and is able to read a message. And, as I guess, something inimical to national safety. You dirt.
You're only guessing.
True. But the security boys will soon find out.
£1,000 if you'll go along to your friend and tell him it was just a personal joke sending that picture.
Oh, now you're really talking. 1,000. What do you say, Charlie?
2,000.
Cash?
On the nail. May as well be proper blackmailers.
Right, Mr. Annandale. 2,000.
But that much cash.
Easy. All newspapers keep large amounts of floating cash. Emergency expenses, payment of fares for special and sudden events, necessitating travel for correspondence, reporters.
Reckon Mr. A here would keep it himself, too, Mr. Hicks.
Well, Mr. Hay, hand over.
Apparently I have no choice. But one thing. How do I know this will be the end of the matter? Even if you do contrive to stop the print.
That's just it, my friend. You do not know. But I don't see you have any alternative.
Very well. But if I hear any more from you, I shall know what steps to take. I shall not be caught off guard again.
The money, please.
Well, I must get it out of the safe.
So you must. I'll help, shall I? I don't wish you to open it and suddenly produce another gun. Alley-oop, then. My, what a hoard. And good heavens, a bunch of feathers.
Came in the mail from another scoundrel of the same kidney as yourself.
Who on earth is that?
The Grey Goose, or I'm much mistaken.
But why keep the feathers?
Because I hope to spread some tar over him one day, and then I propose to stick his stupid feathers all over him. Well, here's your darn money, now get out.
Thank you. And here's my receipt.
What? A feather? You are
the Grey Goose at your service. Sorry I must keep my mouth
By heaven,
No. Not that, Mr. Annandale. Sorry to have to crack you one, but my friend and I have to get out of here before you rouse the rabble.
Reckon he's asleep.
Peacefully.
Well, we better get a move on before he comes to.
That's so. But I don't think we can get out the way we came in. That night reporter's room, and the desk.
Then what?
The piano wire, old son.
Crikey, that way? That gives me the cold shivers. I've not done this stunt before, you know.
Sorry, but it's the only way. Now, hitch the swivel into your belt. That's right. Now, out onto the windowsill.
Okay. Now what?
Steady yourself down with your hands. I take the strain on the wire around my waist, gradually turning round until you hit the ground.
Can't you think of a better word than hit the ground?
No. Now, take it easy.
Let her go. Gently, Mr. Hicks.
The blighter's as heavy as I am. Ooh. Hope he doesn't pull me out of the window. How are you going?
Slow but sure. The wire won't break, will it?
Never has done. But of course, there's always a first chance.
Comforting, I must say. Okay.
Good. Keep attached to keep the wire from swinging. Now to attach my end to something. Ah, yes. The safe handle. That's it. Hang on, Charlie. Here I come.
Right on my stomach, Mr. Hitch. Now what? Scamper?
Yes. But I have to get my wire back first. Watch this.
Blimey. How's that done?
A little cutter on the end of the wire where I tied the knot. I just jerk this bit of strong fishing line, the wire's severed at the knot, and comes tumbling down.
Blinking mandrake, that's what.
Pardon me, Charlie. You don't mention Drake in the same breath as Goose. All right. We're off.
Home?
Not yet. We're going to call on a lady of our acquaintance.
This time of night? Then she ain't no lady.
You may be right at that. However, we'll see. We're going to see Mrs. Annandale.
What? That dame let us go out and guessed you with her.
Charlie.
Mr. Higgs.
Ah, that's the lady. So come on.
Still up, it seems. Lights on.
We've got to get a squint into that room. But how?
Yeah. If it was Christmas, we could go down the flaming chimney, dressed as the Santa Claus twins.
Don't pinch my comedy, Charlie. Wait. Do you remember there was a small library off the main room?
Yeah.
Then that's our target. We get in there and possibly hear all, see all. Come.
Easy. It's a French window.
Then go to it, my friend.
In?
Imre, move the lamp a little nearer.
But yes, my Myra.
Now the glass again. The print is so small. Now that's better. The magnification is excellent. See for yourself.
Can you see, Charlie?
Yeah, but you think we dare open these curtains a bit wider?
1 inch.
As you see, Imre, held up to the light, the picture fades and the print is visible.
Yippee!
What? Of course. My hat, they got a copy of the paper. Not a sound.
Yes, I see. It is very clear. It is a very, very clever method, I think. I assure you that my friends will be most satisfied with the efforts of you and your good husband.
My good husband, Imre? Do you forget it was I who thought this scheme up? This scheme of passing information to you, for you in turn to pass it
Yes,
to...
indeed, my dear Myra, and I trust that the monetary reward is satisfactory.
Satisfactory? Imre, dear, I haven't had but a penny here and there. That mean old devil does all the cashing in. Oh, dear heaven, how sick of him I am.
That is good, because all the more ready will you be to come with me when the time is right.
When is that going to be? I sometimes feel we may be found out.
How right you are.
The day is not far off, my dear one. Our cause will triumph, and then...
But can't we do something now? Without my husband, I mean.
No, dear one. Remember, he has the private processes to print and the channels of publication of the magazine.
The more I wait, the more desperate I am for money, Emily. I'm at my wit's end with debts, cards, milliners, hundreds.
Well, what of this scheme which you have for trapping this, this famous character? I understand that the reward has reached £2,000. Why did you not give the alarm when he was here, as you say he was?
He had a companion, and I knew that if I made one false move, he'd be on to me like a flash of lightning. So I fobbed him off with a bit of romance. But he'll come back, I feel sure.
Mask on, Charlie. Madam, what? Permit me to hail a soothsayer. You're perfectly right. As I've so often had the privilege of saying to my clients, victims, I am here.
And so Fletcher is right again, this time in his estimate of a woman. How he deals with traitors is to be told. We know, too, he'll manage somehow to feather the nest of the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
Oh, this is a fine thing. I cope with the managing editor of the Gazette, only to find he runs a private press somewhere from which he issues a salacious rag called Yippee. Suddenly I discover his bikini beauty illustration, when held up to the light, reveals foreign script, obviously of a subversive nature. Coping with Annandale meant extracting £2,000 from him on my promise to intercept a copy of these newspaper pulls which I'd managed to post to the Home Office. Leaving Annandale, Charlie and I proceed to his house, where we find Mrs. Annandale, Myra, and a foreign character holding copies of the Bikini Beauties up to the light and transcribing the hidden print. Myra and Imre something have also, we discover, a yen between them. Then Charlie and I hear she's moaning about hubby and being hard up, and how she could claim the reward of £2,000 if she could trap the Grey Goose, that is, your humble servant. Breaking cover, as it were, Charlie and I burst in and...
You!
Indeed, yes, madam. I and my friend here have just overheard your very interesting conversation. But before we act or comment, let me say I am here and at your disposal.
Take off your masks.
Why should we? You assumed earlier I was the Grey Goose, even with mask on. I'm a bit like woman, you know, of whom it is said, her hidden charm doth intrigue my soul.
Imre, do something. This is the man, I'm certain.
Imre, what, or whoever you are, you just hold your horses while I talk to your lady love. Charlie, if Imre so much as wriggles, let him have it.
You bet your sweet life. Imre, how would you like to come and sit on my knee?
My right. It seems these assassins have the upper hand.
Assassins? No. Upper hand, yes. All right, Mara Annandale, I'll spin the yarn. You and this little lapdog of yours,
Beast.
I find, are the agents for the forwarding and distribution of propaganda. Your husband, Mara, prints the stuff supplied to his private press.
Rubbish. My husband is a well-known and highly respected executive in the newspaper world.
I know. And thus, when he comes a cropper, there'll be an explosion. Oh, dear, what a bang. Now, let me continue. After the first pulls are made of these very attractive ladies in more or less damn all, you, with the assistance of old Emery paper here...
Imre to you?
You, with his assistance, check the copy, forward it to your husband at his office, and he, in turn, forwards it to his press operators, not at the Gazette, but his private press, and thence the paper yippee. The public buy it, and those others who know where to look, read, mark, and inwardly digest, then act accordingly. Now, where is that press?
I shall not tell you.
Careful of that phone. Answer it, madam, when I tell you, or else. Charlie, a little pressure on Imre where it hurts most.
Come here, twerp. Right, Mr. Hicks, go ahead, but hold the phone.
Now, take the call and answer it only if it's your husband.
Myra?
Yes, this is Myra.
Be careful. I've had a visit from that swine.
Have you?
He knows an awful lot. He's got hold of the pools and has learned the secret. Knowing him, he'll probably call at the house.
Say, go on.
Go on.
The game may be up. You and Imre clear up everything. Burn all photos and pools. Everything, you understand?
You do.
Yes, I understand.
Right. Then get the car and call for me here.
Say, I'll call for you at the back entrance.
I said, did you hear me? Call here.
Yes, I heard you. But if it's a getaway, hadn't I better come to the back entrance in the lane?
It's a good idea. And come at once. It's urgent. That fellow has posted copies of you-know-what to the Home Office.
No.
I put him off with £2,000. He's promised to intercept them.
I see.
Speak up.
I said I see.
Well, if you do, you'll also see how serious all this is. All right. Now get a move on. Hurry.
At once.
Obviously, it's time to clear out, eh?
As you heard. What have you done to my husband?
Poor chap. What have you and Imre done to him? However, let us proceed. We have to go and collect the deceived one.
Imre, quick, do something.
Imre, take my advice and lie low.
Oh, swine, pig dog, you will see I can do something.
Shut up.
Oh.
Now, madam, this is where we take charge. Firstly, these papers. That. Now, we all go to meet hubby at the back entrance.
Where are you taking us?
Oh, didn't you hear? The back entrance of the Gazette building.
And then?
Who knows? Oh, wait on. We might even visit the press. The private press, eh? Charlie, I hate to use force on a lady, but you could ask little Imre the address, couldn't you?
Oh, with great pleasure. Come on, Imre. Spill it.
Never. Never. Oh!
Now, Imre, darling, what's an address or two?
You devils to torture a man so.
He's not a man, in my opinion. Just a renegade. Come on, Imre.
17 Enfield Chase. Cellar.
So, you could have saved yourself all that pain. All right, onward, friends. Charlie, we shall most reluctantly have to tie our friends up a little. Just a matter of a gag or so. You, Charlie, that being accomplished, will drive the car. I shall sit in the back seat. Then hey for the Gazette and the charming, if traitorous, Mr. Annandale. Oh, I must tax your patience a few moments longer. I have to ring a friend. Charlie, Muffle their ears for a moment.
I'll yank him into the next room and roll him in a curtain.
D-section, special.
Inspector Ford, please.
Ford here.
And how is the charming inspector?
Oh, it's you again. Well, the inspector is far from charming.
How right you could be. But here's a little thing, a really pretty little thing for you to unravel.
I'm in no mood for riddles. Get on or get off.
Well, the Grey Goose tells me you would really enjoy a ride to Enfield tonight.
Eh? Why?
Because that wily old bird will hand over to you in person 3 lovely little conspirators who aim destruction at this royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, and all that. You get me?
Oh, be more concise, man.
Certainly, my friend. To put all this in a nutshell, I have discovered 1, a private printing press. 2, the owner thereof. Are you interested?
Go on. So anyone can own a printing press.
3, that the same printing press is one whereby subversive literature may be sublimated to, or, to put it more simply for you, whereby a photograph may cover the printed word, said word being the aforesaid subversive literature.
I see. And where do I find all this sublimated, superimposed, covered subversive stuff? And, of course, the 3 bears.
Bears? Oh, dear, dear, dear. How very apt you could be. Bears, eh? All right. 17 Enfield Chase in 1 hour. Au revoir. Right, Charlie. Bring out the 2 bears.
I want a bit of help. I can't carry them.
What? Are those bundles our friends?
That's the idea. I'd throw them up in the curtains.
Splendid. Okay. We'll store them as they are in the car.
Here we are. The Gazette back entrance.
And there's his lordship waiting. Mrs. Annandale, call your husband, please, and do, I pray you, do be careful.
Herbert?
Is that you, Myra?
Yes.
That's not our car.
So you borrowed the car, safer.
No, I borrowed this one. Thought it would be safer.
Oh, good. That's quite a good precaution.
Right, Charlie, shove him in.
Here, I say, what is all this? Myra!
Get in and shut up.
Yes, come in, Finn.
Hold him, Mr. Hicks.
I've got him. Off we go, Charlie. Enfield next stop.
Now, listen, you, I've had enough. What is...
You haven't had enough, Annandale. Oh, I know you've got a gun in your hand, but don't for heaven's sake shoot. You see, this bundle I happen to be nursing is your dear wife. Shoot, and you have a murder on your hands.
I'll...
You'll do nothing. See? Oh, sorry, Mrs. A, to bang your head on his like that. But even if it hurt a bit, it's better than being drilled, isn't it? You're safe now. I have the gun.
Oh, my head.
You ought to see hubby's. Well, now we've got Mr. Annandale tied as well, we'll lay the bodies out, Charlie. All in a row. Mara in the middle. No, better still. Lay them in the form of a triangle.
Hey, what's the idea?
Mrs. A at the base. The 2 sides, little Emery. And Mr. Annandale. So, there we have them. The immortal, matrimonial, and eternal triangle.
Oh, devil.
What the deuce are you insinuating?
Ooh, haven't I put my dirty foot in it? I thought you knew the wife's boyfriend.
Boyfriend?
Ooh.
Why, Myra, you...
Come, Charlie. This little domestic squabble is not for our ears. See you in a few moments. Just lie there as comfortably as possible, and here's a feather for each of you. Yeah. You know, Charlie, I would have liked to destroy all these presses. Blow 'em up.
The inspector will look after that, I reckon.
Yes, I suppose so. And with all the literature we've left around, he'll have an open and shut case against our trio, together with that stuff I sent to the Home Office. I used the Gazette envelope, too.
Listen, that car. It's the inspector.
Right. Stand by to make a rush to the street. Back way. Douse the light, quick. Pull those switches.
Open up, police!
Come in, Inspector. The door's on the latch.
So you did turn up. Where are you?
Inspector, I always keep my word. Your friends are down the passage, in the press room downstairs.
Capel, light! Fuse gone, I think, Inspector.
Help! Help! If that's the police, grab that man. He's your Grey Goose.
Trying to earn her 2,000 quid.
Where are you, man?
Time to go, Charlie. Rush, old son. Cheerio, Inspector. You're on to a good thing. Charlie?
Yeah?
We've done quite a neat job. The Gazette wants a new managing editor. Then Ford gets a pat on the back. We've bust up a triangle, and we've procured a long sentence for 3 dirty traitors.
And what have we got out of it?
£2,000, Charlie, my boy. What charity would you like me to send it to you? After we've deducted our 10%.
And thus another case is brought to a successful conclusion. But still further adventures await our...
I have been here.
The Grey Goose. Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
I'm beginning to feel a little at the end of my tether. My old school friend, now Inspector Ebenezer Ford, is hot on the trail of the Grey Goose. He's put 2 and 2 together and roughly estimated it at more than 4. I, in my conceit, have distributed Grey Goose feathers hither and yon. So what? If I were not the Grey Goose, I'd sing a swan song. Reflecting thus, I hear my warning buzzer go, which indicates that anybody coming out of the lift on my floor is coming to my door. As usual, pardon the conceit, I'm right. My doorbell rings. Why, Ben.
Inspector Ebenezer Ford, do you, Fletcher?
Dignity, eh?
Official is the word.
My. So you are here to, to what, if one may ask?
Let's have no more nonsense, Fletcher. I've long had my own suspicions. I followed them up. In fact, I've joined a whole series of events together, made out of a jumbled jigsaw, a pattern which shows me that...
That what, Ben?
That there's a definite hook-up, a tie-up between you and this bandit, the Grey Goose.
You tie up the Grey Goose and me?
Yes, I do.
As far as I recollect, this Grey Goose cove has robbed, pillaged, and plundered all over the place.
He has. As I said, he's a bandit, a thief, a robber.
And you think that I, cadet of the House of Fletcher and Sons, lock and safe merchants, safe, mind you, am responsible for the defalcations of this character?
Definitely I do. Fletcher, you are it, definitely.
Hold out the handcuffs, Ben, even if they don't fit.
Now, stop bragging. That you and I are old schoolmates is forgotten.
By all means, let's forget it. At school you were a prig, a very large blob. I didn't like you. You were the clot of the class.
Wait on, I was not. Now, look, I'm only trying to tell you that those days are over.
Alas, pity you didn't stay out the term.
I'm a policeman. I'm after a malefactor. I have to run down my man.
Mount his stuff. I'm surprised at you.
My man, the Grey Goose, is you.
Good gracious, Ben. Pity you never played in the school dramatics. You would have been a sensation. However, the accusation is ridiculous.
Is it? There have been cases of men in big positions. Some have shot themselves. Some have emigrated. Some are but ruined remnants of themselves.
Well?
In every case, the Grey Goose feathers figured. Safes have been opened. You're the greatest expert in the city.
Oh.
Men have decamped. Scotland Yard has been worded up. But with the exception of his feathers, the Grey Goose himself has been conspicuous by his absence.
Go on, Ford.
Then a close watch has been kept.
You don't say.
My fellows and myself have surveyed the last 6 months.
Mr. Gallop and Co.
These eminent men have all been associated with one Brian Faversham, A man serving a jail sentence.
Because of them.
Ah, then you do know the details.
Every single one. But mark you, Ben, the case of Brian Faversham is coming on again. A retrial is ordered.
And don't I know it?
All right, then. This case of Brian Faversham. Supposing, only supposing, mark you, that this feathered bird of yours was instrumental in wrecking a few of the blokes who should have been doing time instead of him, what then?
What are you getting at?
Simply this. What on earth is your reason for supposing that this character has any connection with your humble servant, Rolland Fletcher?
Well, my dear man, I...
Clean bold, Ben. Even suppose, mark you again, suppose I said to you now, this moment, with no witnesses present, Inspector, I am your man. I am indeed the Grey Goose. Have you one atom of proof? Could you go into a court of law and produce one frail piece of evidence to support your case?
I think I could produce enough circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence. That's the hurdle over which many a police case has come a cropper. All right, Ben, cool down. Do as I said. Shove the chains and handcuffs on me now, and then go ahead and prove your case.
Fletcher, listen to this one.
Go on, then, old sleuth.
You were born in Norfolk.
True.
You also have a rather attractive home there.
True again. I, in addition, have the pen of my aunt in the study, and the daughter of the gardener is a girl.
And don't sidestep, please. Your jokes, such as they are, as always, fail in comedy appeal.
Oh, dear. Joke over. Proceed.
That old home of yours.
Oh, don't make me cry.
Shut up. That home of yours is the centre of a very flourishing little industry.
Is it? What am I making? Carpets? Or running a pot still?
No. You or your agent runs a very profitable goose farm, Norfolk geese. It's a big and flourishing place.
Now, let me guess. You're going to tell the income tax man about me.
Now, let me remind you, that this is an official inquiry.
Right. Back to tours. My geese. Apparently you've been having a gander down there. A look-see.
Putting these facts and others before a judge and jury will make the case look very black, don't you think?
These facts and others? What are the others, Ben? Inspector.
You're an engineer, a director of the firm of Fletcher & Son, safe and lockmakers. You are indeed their chief designer and expert.
Jolly good, too, even if I say it myself.
There is hardly a safe or strong room you couldn't open.
So what?
These men the Grey Goose talks about having ruined. Each in turn has been robbed. On the scene has been planted a grey goose feather, a braggadocio token.
So that's how you work it out. Very clever of you, Ben. But go on, I feel you have more.
I have. When these raids of yours started, the press referred to you...
Not me yet, Ben.
The Grey Goose, then, as a modern Robin Hood, robbing the rich to pay the poor or some charity or other, right?
I read the papers.
Suddenly I had an idea. Robin Hood was an archer. Archers in the old days feathered their arrows with a grey goose feather, right?
My hat. Brainwave upon brainwave.
Thus, for lack of a better name, I called you the Grey Goose, because you were leaving these tokens around.
Not me, Ben. I keep reminding you. Anything else?
Good heavens, yes. Do you know what the men who made arrows were called?
Seem to have heard it. Now, what was it?
I'll tell you. You flesh an arrow when the feather is inserted in the shaft. The men who performed this task were called fleshers.
Jolly nice little exposition, Ben.
The modern version of flesher is Fletcher.
By Jove! So I'm related to some old bloke who figured at the Battle of Hastings.
All right, have your joke. What have you got to say?
Just this, old man. Your powers of deduction haven't failed you. You're a credit to all the books you've read. But...
But what?
You just haven't got an atom of proof. Admit it, man. No court of law could, with all your facts and theories, be persuaded that I am the Grey Goose or that the Grey Goose is Rolland Fletcher.
Supposing you're right. I've only to catch your goose on one of his excursions, and that, together with the foregoing facts, will do the trick.
That's right. Nail this cove robbing a worthy citizen safe and planting a feather, and the world is yours. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they made you a chief commissioner.
You treat all this very lightly, Fletcher. But I, as a police officer, regard crime as crime and punishable by law.
In fact, you could say, I hate crime.
There's another angle, Fletcher. That little acquaintance of yours, ex-lag, ex-burglar, Charlie Austin.
What's he done?
Nothing, except he some years ago was in your workshops and taught you in those early days the rudiments of locks. We're keeping an eye on him. This is not a very profitable discussion so far, but we'll talk again later. On my stamping ground, Scotland Yard. Good day.
Oh, won't you stay for a drink?
Under the circumstances, no. Sorry. Oh, and you might give my regards to Miss Faversham.
Rolland Fletcher, the game is almost up. First thing to do is to arrange evacuation of the territory. I better have a yarn with this, with Barbara.
Yes, I'm in.
Right, stay there. I'm coming through. Press your button. You heard?
Yes, I heard. Rolly, you're in a spot. In fact, we all are.
Yes, it does appear so. It seems he's got eyes on you and Charlie Austin as well as myself. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he doesn't come back soon with a real architectural expert and survey these premises.
And discover our revolving bookcase. Our one means of communication.
No, he'll never do that. Charlie and I made it, and together we can unmake it. Which reminds me, Charlie's in a bit of danger too. I'll ring him up, I think.
It'll be safe enough from my phone.
Yes, I think so. I'll bet mine is tapped by now.
Yes? Who's that?
It's X, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. What's in the wind?
A lot of trouble, Charlie. Ben, I fear, is like the porpoise.
Eh?
Alice in Wonderland, Charlie. There's a porpoise close behind us.
Oh, he's tumbled to you, has he?
Most definitely. Got no real proof, but he's warm. He's also onto you.
That accounts for it.
What? Accounts for what?
There's a copper been opposite my front door for hours.
Oh ho.
And there's one at the back, watching the gate into the old junkyard.
So he wasn't fooling. Listen, Charlie, a getaway is very necessary if you and I aren't going to spend our annual leave in Dartmoor.
Oh, crikey.
The main thing is to get you out and round here as quick as possible.
Oh, can't be done with those flat feet eyeing me.
True. Wait on. An idea. Oh, yes, a good idea. Any lights showing at your place?
No fear. As soon as I saw the cops that didn't put no lights on, make 'em think I'm out, see?
Good. Now, stand fast and wait for me. I may appear at a back window or something like that.
Okay. I'll leave all the windows open. Be seeing you.
Oh, don't on any account answer a knock at your door.
What on earth?
It's like this, Barbara. We've got to sneak Charlie from under their noses, and this is how we do it. You go and put that wig and moustache on, and that duplicate suit of mine. You've done it many times.
Yes, of course.
You will then drive my car quite openly to Charlie Austin's place. Get out, knock on the door several times. No answer. Give it up as a bad job, get back into the car, and drive home to my flat.
I don't quite follow.
You will establish the fact that Charlie is out. You got it?
My word, yes. Those policemen will then be watching for him coming down the street.
That's the idea. Oh, someone at your door. I'll hop back through the bookcase.
Yes, who's there? Hurry, Rolly.
Could I see you for a few moments, Miss Faversham?
Good heavens. The inspector himself.
The trail seems to lead nearer and nearer to the exposure of Rolland Fletcher as the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
My recent interview with Inspector Ford tells me the game is up. He's quite aware that I, Rolland Fletcher, am the Grey Goose. His trouble is that he has no shred of actual proof, but he may light on it at any moment. So the operation order is, I think, disappear. Incidentally, he's tumbled to Charlie Austin, and now I find my old crony with a constable at both front and back door. Getting a hunch, I'm about to send Barbara around in my car when there's a ring on her bell, followed by the voice of Inspector Ford asking to be admitted. Using the old hole-in-the-wall bookcase, I vanish into my own flat, turn on the speaker, and listen.
But do come in, Inspector Ford.
Thank you. I should tell you, Miss Faversham, that my call is, in a way, or shall I say, partly official.
Really? What have I done?
Don't treat the subject that way, please. Fact is, we feel you can help us.
Us?
I mean, the answers by you to a few questions might assist the course of justice.
Oh.
You're not very cooperative at the moment.
I'll try to do better when you become more explicit, Inspector.
Oh, quite. Well, as you know, the High Judiciary have now ordered a retrial of,
My father. Yes. Thank heaven.
An active agent, among other factors, has apparently been remotely connected with establishing certain facts that have caused the authorities to reopen the case.
You mean this Grey Goose, who's hounded down the men responsible for my father's disgrace and imprisonment? Aren't you guilty of understatement when you say remotely?
Please, don't let a very natural exaltation obscure the fact that while achieving this object, your Grey Goose has robbed, plundered, and...
And in some cases executed summary justice himself.
Which is not his prerogative. The law, the whole structure of jurisprudence is constructed for that purpose.
And being so potent, put my father in jail for 12 years. Give me the Grey Goose every time.
You're very ardent.
Naturally. Your police, your laws, your whole structure of jurisprudence, as you call it, made a huge mistake. Your Grey Goose has torn it apart, made it look what it is, a structure incredibly jerry-built.
Well, I congratulate the Grey Goose on a very warm adherent. So I find I must change my tactics. Would you, should you meet this ephemeral character, express yourself to him as you just did?
I'd go on my knees to thank him.
Have you done so?
What?
Haven't you thanked your immediate neighbour, Rolland Fletcher?
Inspector Ford, you have the reputation of being an astute man. Are you seriously suggesting that Rolland Fletcher is the Grey Goose?
I am.
Prove it.
That I shall do in the very near future. And it may be with your help.
Never.
Oh, yes, it may well be with your assistance.
That's nonsense. I'd never give it.
You may have to. Willingly or under oath as evidence. Good night, Miss Faversham.
Phew. My heavens. Yes? You heard?
Yes, I heard. Apparently Inspector Ford has let loose the dogs of war all right. Sit tight. I'm coming in.
He knows Rowley.
Definitely. But, my dear, he has no iota of proof, and he knows it. However, getting you and Charlie Austin into a witness box might shove a real spanner into my works.
I wouldn't say a thing.
In the hands of an expert barrister, my dear, you'd be bound to drop a brick. So would Charlie Austin. Now, for the moment, the arrangements we made hold. Get into your disguise, wig, moustache, and clothes. Get round to Charlie Austin's. Try and knock him up. He knows not to answer the door.
Then I give up. Where do I go then?
You, that is me, get back here in my car, go into my flat, relax and have a cigarette near the window.
And what are you doing all this time?
I once more become old man Herbert Jenkins, and leave here through your main entrance, and thence to Charlie's place, the best way I can. Now off with you and get change while I do ditto. I'll try and get Charlie back here. He'll be safer. Thank heavens he left the back window open. Charlie!
Hello. Where are you?
On your windowsill.
That you, Mr. Hicks?
No other. Stand clear. I'm coming in.
Blimey. What's the whiskers in aid of?
I, tonight, am old Mr. Jenkins, lessee of the flat Miss Faversham occupies. Now, look here, old son. The cops are back in front of your place.
Don't I know it?
Did anyone come?
There was a knock on the door a few minutes ago, but I obeyed orders and didn't answer.
Ah, that was good. As far as the cops out in the street were concerned, that was me calling on you. Now, they think that I gave up and drove away, but it was actually Barbara doing her impersonation act. Now, thinking you're out, they're waiting for your return.
Pretty smart, too. But how did you get here?
Did a shin up a drain pipe a dozen houses down the street onto the roof.
Oh, crock, you might have broken your neck.
Well, I didn't.
But how'd you, get a bit onto my windowsill?
I didn't. I hitched my old piano wire around a chimney pot and lowered myself down.
And now what happens?
We get out from under their noses.
How?
I go back onto the roof, leave my wire attached to you, then I haul you up.
Oh, crikey, that wire stunt again. It puts the wind up me.
I'm sorry, there's no alternative. Charlie, my boy, you've got to disappear. Ben Ford is going to pull you in and grill you.
I wouldn't say a word.
I know that. But he's a clever bloke, and we can't risk it. Charlie, it's 10 years for some of the things we've pulled off.
Okay, then, let's get going.
Bring a few souvenirs.
I've got all that matters in my pockets.
All right, then. I'm going back onto the roof. You hitch this wire around your waist. So, now, fasten the swivel. Right. I'll give you a call in about half a minute.
Okay, Charlie.
Yes, okay. And for goodness sake, don't drop me.
As soon as you get near enough, grab the gutter and heave yourself up. Right?
I suppose so. Pull for the shore, boys.
So far, so good. A pity these roofs are so steep.
You're telling me. If ever I get back here, I'll get the builders to change it.
Should have remembered to get you to change into rubber-soled shoes. Wait, I've got it. Take your shoes off. You'll be safer in socks.
Oh, I only bought these shoes this week.
Tie the laces and hang the shoes round your neck.
How far do we have to go on this blinking slippery dip?
I told you, about a dozen roofs down.
A dozen? Oh, heaven forgive me for all the things I've done in the murky past.
Now, come on. Balance yourself. One short leg, one long one, like this. Follow as fast as you can. We haven't much time.
How much further?
Just another one to go.
And then?
The piano wire.
What, again?
Yes, it's the only way. These are all solid roofs. There are no skylights to get through.
Okay. But I'll be glad to feel a flat pavement under my feet. By Jiminy. Here, what's that?
Hold it. It's a big police car. Pulling up outside your place, Charlie.
For crying out loud.
Listen.
All right, men. We break in back or front. Get busy.
He doesn't believe you're out somehow, Charlie. Keep your head down. They've turned car lights onto your place.
Think they'll spot us?
No, I'm positive they won't. There's one thing about it. Those lights create deep shadows, and we're on the shadow side.
Are we? There's another car pulled up at the back.
So there is. And they've tilted their lights.
Oh, blimey. If we'd been 5 minutes later, we'd never have got out.
They never said a truer word. All right. Now, lie flat against the roof and take a breather. I've got to get down from here in half a sec. Come on. Hitch the wire around your waist again.
This makes my blood run cold.
It'll freeze in jail. Now, off you go. I'll play it out from my waist.
Okay. Down.
2 men. Each at the end of the lane to double. There's nowhere to pass, all right?
Unhitch, Charlie, and run like the devil. You've only got a second or two. Meet later at Barbara's place. Careful. Get a move on. Whew. Just do it, I think. Yes, he's okay now. But what about myself? Better bide here for the moment.
Hurry up, you men!
Oh, confound it, they've hurried. So here I am, sitting in a gutter like a wretched pigeon.
All right.
Can't use the wire now. By the powers, I'm stuck. Then, laddie, you might possibly bring down a bird this night. Oh, dear. Lots of very unwelcome activity. Ah, Fletcher, unless you can think of something you're... Bless my soul. There is a skylight in this roof. Well, well, well. May as well try it. Good. It opens. Well, they can't see me now, that's certain. I'll explore a bit. No one about. Carpenter's lock-up shop, apparently. Try the door.
All right, man is in the street. Now keep a sharp lookout there. Well, I tell you what it is here. You look up the neighbors. Well, you take that way.
Much too unhealthy out there. Too much Ford about. Oh, my gosh, my dear Rolland Fletcher, you're losing your punch. Ah, carpenter shop. Shavings, wood. Dear, oh, dearie me. Now, what could be better than a small conflagration? Nobody in the house to get hurt? It's a chance. Shavings, come here. You're more valuable than 10,000 goose feathers. That's it. Keep the home fires burning, my beauties. Up she goes. Now for the psychological moment. Excitement, panic. Burn, my little ones, burn.
Help! 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 Fire! 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 Help! Oh, constable, help! My shop's on fire. Where's the nearest fire plug?
100 yards down the street.
Oh, thank you very much.
Here, what's all this? Oh, confound this confusion. Absolutely wrecked my plans. Has anybody set an alarm?
Yes, sir. Old gentleman just passed me on his way to the fire alarm post.
What? You let someone out of this cordoned area? You idiot!
Extreme necessity demands extreme measures, a maxim obviously learned and acted upon by the Grey Goose.
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
I've been grilled by Inspector Ford, and there's no doubt about it. He knows that the Grey Goose is Rolland Fletcher. His trouble is he cannot prove it. My trouble is that he's too near to be comfortable. One mistake, and I'm a gone coon. He's on to Charlie Austin, too, but I've managed to sneak him away to Barbara's flat. Barbara herself, I fear, has also come under suspicion, and Inspector Ford has likewise grilled her a little. Well, trapped as I was in Charlie Austin Street, I made a diversion by starting a small fire, and in the ensuing confusion, I nipped off and back to my flat, where Barbara, disguised as myself in moustache and wig, was holding the fort.
Here you are at last. I was getting very anxious.
I'm not surprised. Well, hop through the hole in the wall and change into your own self. It looks as if that disguise of yours is finished forever. I'll join you in a few moments.
Right.
Incidentally, Charlie and I will have to make a job of closing the old bookcase wall. We made it. We'll have to unmake it, seal it up.
Oh, Rolly.
No regrets, my dear. It's done its job. But the day has come when Ben Ford is going to tear this place of mine to bits and get experts on the job. Then he'll know I can get into your place, and that will definitely pin collusion onto you. All right, hop it, and let me know when Charlie Austin arrives. See you soon. Well, there it is. I can't have Barbara sacrificed just as she gets the news that her father's retrial will probably mean his release. The problem is, though, how to get Charlie Austin into the clear. As for myself, bless my soul, I'll definitely have to get out. North Pole first stop, I think. Barbara? Yes, Barbara, what's on? You can't be changed already.
No, but there's someone at my door, I think. What shall I do?
Wrap a dressing gown round you. Chuck the wig and moustache and open up. I'll be listening in here.
Right. Who is it?
It's me, Miss Barbara. Charlie.
Thank heaven. It's all right, Rolly. It's Charlie.
Well, that's good. I'm coming in, Barbara. By heck, you're late, Charlie.
Oh, I am that. But you know, Mr. X, I found I'd grown a tail.
What?
It's all right, Barbara. He means he was followed. Did you shake him, Charlie?
I did. I gave myself a walk round 3 tube stations, spent 5 bob in fares, and nearly lost myself.
How did you know you were being followed?
Blimey, it was Perce Dawson, plainclothes cop. Put me in once, he did. Loitering with intent.
Somehow I can't see Ford's hand in that. Otherwise, this character would have picked you up.
That's the idea. He was just being nosy. Aha, he says. Here's C. Austin. He may be up to something, I'll see.
Yes, that'll probably be it. Well, Charlie, this is the end of the penny section.
What?
I mean it.
You can't mean it.
But I do. You see, Ben Ford is convinced if by any chance he really does get hold of Charlie here, he's got plenty of evidence. He may suspect you've taken a hand too, Barbara. But with the wall bookcase sealed up, he can't connect your place with mine. Thus he'll have nothing to hang on you.
That's right, Mr. Hicks.
And this is the last place he'd expect to find Charlie.
Yeah, of course.
So there it is, Charlie. I've got cement and trowels in the boot of my car.
I'll go and get them.
Not you. You mustn't be seen having anything to do with me or mine. I'll get them myself. And you and I will do a bit of bricklaying and carpentry work this night.
I refuse to call it a day.
You can't stop it, Barbara. Listen, the retrial is now definite. Your father will receive a pardon. What's his freedom worth to him if you get jugged as an accomplice of the Grey Goose?
I see. Yes, but...
Let there be no buts. This way we protect you.
I'm going to have one but. What of you and Charlie Austin here?
That's our next concern. Very much so, as a matter of fact. And maybe you can do a bit of helping. Now, stand aside while a couple of British workmen get a very unusual hustle on.
Blimey. Oh, it's finished.
And as the mayor of Buff Orpington would say, I declare this foundation stone well and truly laid. Oh, by Jove, I'm tired.
Sit down, like a drink of something.
How does a drink of something sit down? Oh, by Jove, I've just thought of something.
What?
I can't get back into my flat without going round now. And I'm dressed a la bricklayer. Never thought of that.
I've thought of something, though.
You have?
Yes. A bit more plaster on your face, a bit more dirt on your overalls, and you could go out into the street or anywhere, and no one could possibly recognize you.
By Jove, Barbara, my wench. You've spoken a complete mouthful. Charlie, my boy, we're almost at liberty.
Well, how are you going to use it?
The fact is, Barbara, you may as well know it now as later. Charlie and I are going on a trip.
A trip? What do you mean exactly?
That's the first I've heard of it.
We can't evade Ford much longer. Thus we'll have to shake the dust of England from our shoes for a bit. This demi-paradise is a bit too small for us just now.
You mean you're leaving England?
Toot sweet, my dear. It's that or Dartmoor.
But passports and such.
I've long had my affairs in that direction in order.
But I ain't got one.
Oh, but old Herbert Jenkins has. You know, the one you used when we bunged you over to France a year or so ago.
Oh, crocky, yeah. But wait on. You won't get by the cops at any port. Ford'll see to that. Not as yourself, that is.
Do you really think the inspector is as warm as that?
Definitely. And if in the next few days I drop a brick or he picks up Charlie Austin, we're all well and truly sunk.
Oh, I wish I could think of something.
Don't let it worry you. The big bad wolf is not going to get us. Come on, Charlie, it's the dawn. A very good time of the day to sally forth.
Oh, rightio.
I'll be seeing you again before...
Before we go? Most certainly. We might even come in and whitewash your ceiling.
What about a bit of food, Mr. Hicks?
Right, we'll go in here and get some breakfast. And plan our campaign. As Barbara said, there isn't a soul that would recognize me. Buttered eggs for 2, please, miss, and coffee.
Yes, sir.
Now, it's like this, Charlie. You can go up to Barbara's flat fairly easily. They won't be watching in that direction, so you can collect your bit of money and odds and ends.
Yeah, right.
Don't change your clothes. Keep that painter's overall on, and tell Barbara to burn everything else. That includes her wig, etc.
Oh, blimey, yes. But all your stuff's in your own flat.
And I've got to get in. There's a few rather priceless bits of jewellery in there. Can't go without them.
Of course not. But I reckon the inspector will have your place picketed.
Yes, maybe. But he's only guessing. And even as myself at this stage, he can't stop me going in.
Toasted coffee, sir. Eggs coming up.
Oh, thanks.
But he could keep a very close watch all the same. And he might wonder what you're doing all dressed up in that outfit.
Confound it, I should have kept my suit on underneath and just walked in the ordinary way. I know. Look, we've got to get into that flat as we are. Painters or what have you. We haven't got any paint, brushes or ladders.
Blimey, that's easy, Mr. Hicks. I've got a pal, Tommy Blewett. Now, for a few quid, he'll do a job for us. Motor truck, name and all.
Charlie, as soon as we finish breakfast, we'll go and interview Mr. Blewett. And by jingo, we'll paint the jolly old flat.
Mr. Fletcher's flat?
Okay, 3rd floor.
Oh, blimey, eh? We look like the real thing. Thomas Blewett printed on all the ladders.
Shall we take the stuff up, Mr. Blewett?
Yes, and get a move on. Careful, don't knock the lift about with those cans of paint.
Okay, Mr. Blewett.
Careful there.
Crikey. Do you see what I see?
The inspector himself. All right, we'll have to bluff this.
Good morning, sir. Are you Mr. Fletcher?
No, I'm not. As a matter of fact, I think he's out. I'm waiting here for him.
That's okay. Oh, are you a friend of his? We can let you in if you like. The boss has got the key Mr. Fletcher left with him. Is that right, boss?
That's right. He said as he might be away a bit, so we got a key so that we can get on with the decorating.
Did he say he'd be back today?
Didn't say anything, but asked us to get a move on with the job. You coming in with us? I don't suppose he'd mind.
After all, you couldn't pinch anything with us around, could you? Would you like to leave your name with us? If you want to go, we'll tell him you've been hanging around.
If he does come back and I'm not here, tell him Ford called.
Ford, eh? Okay, I'll tell him.
Get a move on there.
Righto, come in.
Cool. Blimey, Tommy. You're a good un.
Nothing to it. Was that his nibs?
That was his nibs.
Look, Charlie, I've gone so far to oblige you, but I don't want to put myself the wrong side of the law.
I'll assure you of that, Mr. Blewett. This flat does want decorating. All right, go on, decorate it. Here's your £100, as promised by Charlie. Now, let's get to work. As long as you show results, you're just doing a job. And if Charlie and I are absent tomorrow, well, that's okay, too. You just put 2 other men on.
All right, sir. I'll shut up.
Good. Now, I've got what I came for. My own property. That's it. Now, I think I'll go down for more paint. Then I'll go to your place and send another of your men up here.
I've told him to do that down at the office.
Right.
Yeah, what about me?
You, Charlie. You'd better stay on the job till knock-off time. Then meet me at, now let's think where. I know. Mr. Blewett's paint yard. That's it. Okay with you, Mr. Blewett?
Oh, yeah, that's all cigar with me.
All right. Now I'll be off. Oh, by the way, Charlie, splash a bit more paint on your face. Oh, hello. You still here, Mr. Ford?
Yes, I'm still here.
Cripes. You got patience, I must say. Your pal, Mr. Fletcher, must be worth waiting for.
You're quite right, my friend. He's very well worth waiting for.
So far, Fletcher has managed to get his own way, and that by sheer bluff. But how long is Dame Fortune going to favour the Grey Goose?
I have been here.
The Grey Goose, Adventures of a Modern Robin Hood.
The hunt is definitely up, and thus I have to plan a way out for myself and Charlie Austin. Inspector Ford is even now doing sentry go outside my flat, and I was only able to get in and collect a few valuables through the agency of a painter friend of Charlie Austin. Disguised in overalls with a generous amount of whitewash over our faces and hands, and carrying ladders and planks, we looked the real thing, and commenced work on my flat. Then I left, ostensibly for some more paint, even exchanging a word or two with Ben Ford in the hallway. He didn't see through my disguise, fortunately, but from a casual remark he made, I knew that at last he was ready to pounce. That evening I met Charlie Austin at the painter's yard, having already telephoned Barbara to meet us there.
So, It's all over, Rolly.
Definitely, Barbara.
What are you going to do?
Get out of the country as fast as I can.
But how? Your passport's useless and Charlie hasn't one.
And unfortunately, my dear, this is not the open season for channel swimmers. However, I've still got the little motor cruiser at Burnham. We may make the French coast in that.
But everybody in Burnham knows what boat belongs to who.
Of course, but there's nothing to prevent my taking her out, providing I do so before the hue and cry is up. And that means we must waste no time getting there.
I'll drive you down.
Ooh, no fear. The police know the number and style of my bus, and the road patrols and village cops will be warned.
I'll use my car.
Oh, more dangerous than ever. Should they examine cars making from the coast, you'd be associated with us. No. So far, you're in the clear, and the hole in the wall of your flat has now disappeared, so there's nothing really to connect you with the Grey Goose.
So, we've got to say goodbye then.
Yes, my dear. Your father's on the point of release with a free pardon. You'll want no complications.
How can I say how grateful I am?
By saying nothing.
Oh, Rolly, how I wish...
Don't say it, my dear. It's better as it is. Don't let's think of those saddest words. You know, it might have been.
Shall I see you again?
Wherever I end up this chase, I'll drop you a line. Mind you, it may be from Dartmoor.
Don't joke about it, please.
Okay, we won't. You've been a grand little partner, and we've shared some mighty close scrapes. Now, this is one you can't share.
Mr. Hex, the inspector. He's just got out of his car up the street and he's coming this way.
Good heavens! Oh, thank goodness we are still in our working clothes.
But how are we going...
Yes, I think I know how. Come on, Barbara. Now, Charlie, we're going to tidy up this yard. Barbara, you hide behind these boards, quickly.
Right.
Now, Charlie, start sticking the ladders over on top. Come on, busy it is. We're doing a bit of overtime. Leave this to me.
Hello? Who's there?
Is Mr. Blewett there?
Who wants him?
Well, you might say the police.
Crikey, what's he been up to? All right, hang on, I'll open the gate.
You carry on, Charlie.
Now, what's all this about?
Is Mr. Tom Blewett in the yard?
No, he ain't. Gone home to his tea. He don't paint in the dark.
Naturally. Let's see, I've seen you before, haven't I?
That's right. You saw me on a job I was on this morning.
That's right, a flat in Jermyn Street.
You was waiting for a bloke to turn up, did he?
No, he did not.
And you're police, you say. What's he done?
That wouldn't interest you.
Oh, well, maybe not. Well, now, we're doing a bit of stacking up tonight, and I reckon I'll be locking up the yard soon. Can I do something for you?
Yes, you can tell me if Mr. Blewett's coming back.
Well, I don't think so. Generally doesn't at night. Makes up his books and things at home.
Where does he live?
Brixton, somewhere. Wait on, we ain't locked up the shed yet. Must have a billhead or something. Yes, here we are. Thomas Blewett, painter and decorator, 1 Martin Street, Brixton.
Thanks. Will you be on that job in the morning?
That's right. About crack of dawn, 6 o'clock Emma.
Well, if you should see the owner of the flat and I'm not there, tell him to wait for me. The name's Ford.
If you're the police, do you think he'll wait?
I can't tell with that gentleman. All right, thanks. I'll get straight over to Brixton and try to catch Mr. Blewett before he goes to bed.
Tom Blewett wouldn't like the sound of that there catch, hey?
No, I suppose not. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Ford. Come on, you. You don't have to sit there rolling cigarettes. Get a move on with them ladders.
All right.
Stay where you are for a little while, Barbara.
Oh, it's dreadfully dirty behind here. Do you think I could have a good sneeze?
Yes, sneeze now.
Not on that wall. Blimey, do I have to do everything?
Crocky. That was a bit of a fright. What the blazes was he doing around here?
Come on! I don't want to stay here all the blazing night.
All right, Barbara. Safe now, I think.
Oh, thank heaven. Oh, I was almost suffocated with dust. What on earth possessed the inspector to come here?
Ben leaves no stone unturned. A sudden onslaught of painters on the flat of R. Fletcher, just as the police decided to pounce, would make him wonder. He sees the name Blewett on the ladders and things.
And so decides to find out under what circumstances the order to decorate was given.
Exactly. So now he'll grill Mr. Blewett a little.
That won't worry Tom. I told him to say the order was given a month ago, and it ain't paid for yet.
Yes, I don't see how any harm can come to your friend.
He's fly as a waggle-head of monkeys. The cops will get no change out of him.
Well, we won't be able to stay here any longer. You must go, Barbara. Now.
Yes. Goodbye, Charlie.
Oh, blimey. Being kissed by a lady like you ain't half a treat. I'll make that one last a long time.
It will, unless you eat the lipstick off your mouth. Now, Barbara, off you go. Goodbye, my dear.
Goodbye, Rowley. Darling.
Off you go. We'll follow in 1 minute.
All right.
Oh, blimey. That girl was a little trimmer. Can't think why he didn't get spliced.
The saddest words it might have been. Oh, come on, Charles Austin. It's our turn. We are for the Queen's Highway. Hope our feet will bear us.
Mr. X, Tom's truck's in the yard. Why don't we use it?
My hat, yes. Do you think he'd mind?
Not a bit. We could get out of London and well on the road, then ring him up, say 10 miles out of town, and tell him where it's parked.
In that case, Charlie, start her up.
I spoke to Tom Blewett, Mr. Hex. Managed to get him on the phone. Told him where we'd parked his truck.
Did he say what happened when Inspector Ben called at his place?
Yes, he did. Nothing to it, really. He told the inspector he'd ordered decorating to be done a month ago. Didn't say he'd been paid in advance, like.
Oh, it lets him out. Ben can't have anything on him. Now, if you've finished, I'd like to use that phone.
Radio.
Special, Section D. Who's that?
I wish to speak to Inspector Ford.
Inspector? Yeah, someone on your line. Put him through. Yes?
Your old but irritating friend, Inspector.
Oh, I see. And who are you this morning? Rolland Fletcher or the Grey Goose himself?
Oh, now, look here, Ben. That remark is a bit offensive, you know. You're assuming a little too much, aren't you?
I'm assuming nothing. Adding up a few safes, a few feathers, plus a frequent series of burglarious entries, minus some bits of valuable jewellery, totals, to my mind, one Rolland Fletcher.
Your arithmetic doesn't do you credit, Ben.
Why not?
Because any sum in mathematics must be capable of proof, and you have none.
I promise to confound you with proof galore when next we meet.
I trust that day's a long way off. At the same time, Ben, I do hope we shall meet again. Let's say at the end of the period covered by the statute of limitations. Well, until that day, Ben, au revoir. And now, as Romeo said to Juliet, parting is such sweet sorrow.
You'll never get out of the country.
You'll hear from me if I do. Cheers. Right, Charlie. We hitchhike to Burnham-on-Crouch and the good ship Silver Bell. Fortunately, I keep her filled up.
We'll have to keep pretty fly till we get to pick us up.
That's just it. We wait for parked lorries and stow ourselves in the back. After dark, of course. Then for the boat and a lonely bit of the French coast. After that...
Yeah? What?
Bribe our way aboard a ship bound for Rio or other ports in the South Americas. Come on, comrade. Advance. March.
March? Do you know what I think?
No, what do you think?
I reckon we could afford to do the goose step, eh?
This is where I, Inspector Ford, must conclude the story of the Grey Goose. Well, as far as possible, that is. There's no doubt that he outwitted me, and of course the rest of the Scotland Yard personnel. I, of course, successfully penetrated his identity as Rolland Fletcher, but, as he himself said, I could not produce definite proof. That is, proof to satisfy a judge and jury. At any rate, we managed to track him to the Essex coast. Thence to France, where we found the wreck of Fletcher's motor cruiser, the Silver Bell, on a beach, just off Cape Finisterre. We thus assumed that he and his confederate, Charlie Austin, had perished. But it was a calm sea that week. And I'm not entirely persuaded that that is the last we shall ever hear of that elusive Grey Goose.
In The Grey Goose, the leading roles were played by the following artists: Rolland Fletcher, the Grey Goose, James Mills; Barbara Faversham, Irene Harpur; Charlie Austin, Roger Clemson; Inspector Ebenezer Ford, Reginald Goldsworthy; narrator Brian Wright. The Grey Goose was written and produced by E. Mason Wood.